Immortal Cultivation begins with time management. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 301: The Obsession of the Last Sun Sword Master. I'm Xiao. I learned about your life through the Wangle Young dream. After you discovered your wife's identity as a demon, your first thought was not to communicate with the master, but to run away with your pregnant wife. I initially thought you were overwhelmed by panic, but later I overturned this conclusion. The reason is simple. Your escape route was designed, and you even had time to hide the Chinsuman sword, which is enough to prove that you did not lose your mind at the time. In this way, there is only one reason why you did not go to the master to communicate. Your master was also in trouble at the time. Not true. A voice suddenly came from the Sea of Fire. In that era, the Sunday and Moon twin swords were under the control of the sect where I became a disciple, that is, the Emily Sword sect. There are also many sword cultivation schools in the Emily Sword sect. My master is from the Dajjal Peak branch, which is not a big school within the sect. In other words, Ling Yunpo immediately understood. After the fact that your wife was a demon was exposed, the top leaders of Jian Men tried to stabilize you two sword masters. They did not capture you right away, but chose to eliminate your backup guarantee within the sect, that is, your master's lineage. I'm sorry to my master, said the voice in the fire. The successive deaths of monks in your master's lineage aroused your vigilance. Ling Yunpo continued, you began to look for the truth, and finally discovered that your wife was actually a demon. You could not bear such a reality, but you had no other relatives, friends or teachers in this world, which is why you wanted to take your wife to the Donghuan demon realm and leave this world forever. Even so, I am still a traitor. The voice in the fire said, what's the point of you telling me this? I didn't choose to give the Sun True Darkness sword to anyone at the beginning, not only because I wanted to use it to protect Xiaojing and my daughter, but also because I had no one to entrust it to. Emily Sword Sect, my master's nemesis at the time, instigated several greedy supreme elders to massacre all of our lineage. I wish the entire sword sect would die. It's just that I didn't do it until I died. Now there is no Emily Sword Sect. Ling Yunpo said softly, your enemies are gone. Then who do you think I should give the Sun True Darkness sword to? The voice in the fire said in a low voice, give it to you. You are too weak, you can't protect it. I have an elder who is at the level of an immortal. Ling Yunpo showed a sincere expression, he is outside and can wield the Sun True Darkness sword. The voice in the fire said, to take over the Sun True Darkness sword, I have two conditions. First, the Sunday and Moon twin swords are treasures of the human race that suppress the demon race, and they must not fall into the hands of the demon race. The sword holder must be a human. Second, even if it is a human race, I cannot give it to someone with ulterior motives. He must win my trust and recognition. Someone with ulterior motives? Ling Yunpo asked in a low voice. Those who are heartless and only think about themselves in everything are people with ulterior motives. The voice in the fire said. So the ruthless flow doesn't work. Ling Yunpo thought to himself and said, that's not difficult. My trust is easy to gain. I don't bother to care about anyone with ulterior motives. The voice in the fire said, what's really difficult is my recognition. Back then, I protected Xiaojing from escaping into the Donghuan demon realm, and I died in a battle with pursuers outside the gate. Now there is only an obsession left in my body, which supports me in a daze and fights against the Chinsuman sword to seal the passage between the human and demon worlds. My obsession is to confirm how Xiaojing, who has returned to the Donghuan demon realm, and the daughter in her belly are doing. Ling Yunpo. The voice in the fire said again. She was seriously injured at the time and lacked elixirs to treat her. I forced her into the gate. I'm very worried about her situation. Stop. Ling Yunpo shouted hurriedly, Brother Aoyan, Senior Aoyan, you're already an ancient man from 100,000 years ago. It's too outrageous to suddenly say that you want to inquire about the situation of your wife and children. Do you think I don't know? The voice in the fire said mechanically, 100,000 years have passed. If our descendants survived and did not embark on the path of Taoism, they might have reproduced for tens of thousands of generations. Then why do you make this ridiculous request? Ling Yunpo was speechless. This is obsession. The voice in the fire said, it is because of this obsession that my body has persisted here for more than 100,000 years. And there is more. Ling Yunpo continued to complain, your wife and daughter are in the East Empire demon realm. How can we go there to find out? unless you remove the sun true fire that blocks the passage. No. The voice in the fire said firmly, once the sun true fire is removed, any immortal can drive straight in and snatch the sun true sword. I can't let this happen. If you don't remove the sun true fire, we can't pass through the East Empire demon realm. Ling Yunpo said madly. Then remove my obsession first and get my approval. The voice in the fire said. You are playing a logical deadlock here, right? Ling Yunpo felt like vomiting. This is obsession. The voice in the fire said, sorry, Ain Zhao is dead, I'm just his obsession. If you want to get the sun's Hinmali sword, you must get rid of me. Ling Yunpo had the urge to turn around and leave on the spot, and finally calmed down and asked, what about the Chinsuming sword? Where did you hide it? Same as the sun's Hinmali sword. The voice in the fire said. The Chinsuming sword is also here. Ling Yunpo was shocked at first, and then he realized that the other party meant remove my obsession. I will not only give you the sun's Hinmali sword, but also tell you the whereabouts of the Chinsuming sword. So there is no way to get around your obsession, right? If I find your descendants, how can I confirm with you? Ling Yunpo asked with a sigh. Bring him here. The voice in the fire said, I have a way to confirm the blood relationship. As long as he is indeed my descendant, no matter what Xiao Jing's final outcome is in his mouth, I will accept it. What if your wife died? Ling Yunpo asked again, what if there are no descendants? Then find their remains. The voice in the fire said, the reason why Xiao Jing was able to transform into a human and hide from the blood test to join the Imane Sword sect was because she had a strange object with great sealing power. She used it to seal her own Sky Fox bloodliner. You can start looking for that strange object first, maybe you can reach your goal faster. What strange object? Ling Yunpo asked with a blank look. Back then, Wei refined 6 pieces of sky repairing stones, used 5 pieces to repair the sky, and the remaining one was reserved. The voice in the fire said, that strange object is the fragment of the last piece of sky repairing stone. Chapter 302. The sword hunt ends here. After listening to Wang Zhao's request, Ling Yunpo fell silent. Yes, I have to go to the East Empire realm. Thinking about it carefully, it's a coincidence. Now that I have learned the dragon language, and I have a drop of Yinglong's blood for our Jin to use, the preconditions for disguising as a dragon have been met. By the way, I also got the dragon cultivation method from Jin Palace, and took on the task of helping Yinglong find his daughter. Why is it a daughter again? You bastard fathers, can't you keep a good look after your daughter? Ling Yunpo sighed, and could only say goodbye to this brother Hazy, and then turned and left. When he returned to the edge of the valley, he saw the Yuan family ancestor and a group of people waiting there eagerly. Seeing that he still returned empty-handed, instead of holding the sun's Hinmali sword, everyone showed obvious expressions of surprise, but also a kind of subtle comfort. Sorry, ancestor. Ling Yunpo said with a bow. It's okay. The Yuan family patriarch couldn't hide his disappointment, but he still asked gently, what did our Wang Zhao say? He said there were 2 conditions. Ling Yunpo replied. Everyone. The Yuan family patriarch's originally disappointed face suddenly burst into extremely wonderful ecstasy. What did he say? Oh, right. Wait, he quickly dragged Ling Yunpo away, to a distance where everyone couldn't hear, and then asked Ling Yunpo alone. What did that person say? 2 conditions. Please tell me in detail, I will never break my promise. The first condition is that he must be a human, and he can't be someone with ulterior motives. Ling Yunpo explained. Of course. The Yuan family patriarch said without hesitation. Ancestor, the one in the Sea of Fire said that if someone is heartless and only thinks about himself in everything, he is a person with ulterior motives. Ling Yunpo continued. The Yuan family patriarch. He might as well just say go away, heartless flow. Ancestor. Ling Yunpo asked curiously, I only know that because of the incident of the last Sunday and Moon Sword Master, there is a strong tendency against the questioning love flow within Shushan. But in that era, why did the last Sword Master who practiced the questioning love flow also hate the absolute love flow so much? Could it be that the 2 factions were already at loggerheads at the time? The Yuan family ancestor looked at him deeply, then revealed an intriguing expression, and said, this is a dispute over the orthodoxy of Taoism. Orthodoxy of Taoism? Ling Yunpo was silent for a moment, and asked, Senior Sister Yuan told me that it is probably a matter involving the heart of Tao. But it's not just about the heart of Tao. The Yuan family ancestor said lightly, do you know that immortals are also divided into high and low levels? Ancestor, are you referring to the earthly immortals, celestial immortals, Golden Immortals and Dailyo Golden Immortals? Ling Yunpo asked seriously. That's right. The Yuan family ancestor twirled his beard and said, in the early ancient times, there were actually not so many levels. Golden Immortals and Dailyo Golden Immortals, together, are immortals. Earthly immortals are immortals who practice with their primordial spirits after their death. Because of their flawed physical bodies, they were not considered immortals at the time. Later, the methods of celestial immortals were gradually improved, and the term celestial immortals came into being. The so-called celestial immortal path means that if one's cultivation level has not reached the threshold of golden immortals, but one does not want to give up the physical body, one must cut off the 3 corpses in the spirit and soul, and reduce the burden of ascension from another direction. The upper corpse likes gorgeous ornaments, the middle corpse is greedy for flavors, and the lower corpse is thirsty for desires. If the 3 corpses are cut off, one will no longer be able to tell beauty from ugliness, nor taste flavors, and all desires will disappear, leaving only a pure desire to seek the truth. Ling Yunpo listened carefully, thinking, isn't this psychological castration? The essence of celestial immortals is to be castrated to become immortals, right? On the road to cultivation, who doesn't want to become an immortal? The ancestor of the Yuan family sighed, since there is a way to become a celestial immortal, there must be people who cannot reach the golden immortal realm and work hard to move in this direction. This is the original origin of the Zhuo King style. After all, if you are indifferent to desires from the very beginning, then when the time comes, it will be easy to cut off one blow. So it means preserve the laws of nature and eliminate human desires, right? Ling Yunpo understood it immediately. That's right. The ancestor of the Yuan family nodded and said, to reach the realm of golden immortal, how difficult is it? Both the golden elixir and the fetus must be at top quality. If one of them is not met, there is no hope. In other words, if you can't become a golden immortal, then the lower limit of the Zhuo King school is higher than that of other schools. Earth immortals have to go through tribulations every 10,000 years, but heavenly immortals don't. This alone can make most cultivators flock to the Zhuo King school. Some cultivators who originally had Taoist partners and families later felt that they had no hope of becoming golden immortals. In order to cut off the ties in advance, they even killed their wives and children, making the reputation of the Zhuo King school extremely bad. The reason why Yangzhou would have such a prejudice is mainly because of that era. The Zhuo King school really gave people a bad impression. I see, thank you for clearing up my doubts. Ling Yunpo thanked him sincerely, and said, then the second condition proposed by Yangzhou is to confirm the status of Yin Xiaojin who returned to the Donghuan demon realm that year, and the posthumous child. Upon hearing this, the ancestor of the Yuan family's face immediately stiffened. He wants us to go to the East Empire demon realm to investigate the whereabouts of his wife who lived 100,000 years ago. He asked with a gloomy face. That's right. Ling Yunpo sighed, he claimed that this is the source of his obsession. And what's more troublesome is that he is worried that we will snatch the Sun True Fire, so he is unwilling to disperse the Sun True Fire. The Yuan family patriarch laughed in anger. What does he mean? If we can pass through the Sun True Fire and enter the East Empire demon realm, why don't we just take the sword and leave? He simply pulled Ling Yunpo with him, and once again passed through the bushes and wasteland gravel, and came to the edge of the boiling spring, and asked loudly, Yangzhou. To go to the East Empire demon realm, you must go through the boundary gate. If you don't disperse this Sun True Fire, how can we go through and find the whereabouts of your wife for you? After a while, a voice came from the Sea of Fire. I don't care about this. The Yuan family patriarch almost vomited blood. What Ling Yunpo said was indeed true. I'm Yangzhou's obsession. The voice in the Sea of Fire said, he wants only 2 things. To confirm the whereabouts of his wife, and to ensure that the Tinshanmali sword is not entrusted to the wrong person. These 2 points must be accomplished at the same time. As for how to achieve it, I don't understand. I'm just an obsession. I have only inherited Yangzhou's memories, personality and emotions. I don't have the ability to think in a complex way. That should be reasonable. The ancestor of the Yuan family was furious. He finally got through this level that he had been thinking about, but found that it was a dead end. How could he not be angry? With your conditions, no one can do it even in 1,000,000 years, let alone another 100,000 years. No, I believe he can do it. The voice in the Sea of Fire said. The ancestor of the Yuan family was stunned for a moment before he finally reacted. This guy was talking about Ling Yunpo. From the moment I saw him, I knew that he was the key I had been waiting for 100,000 years. The voice in the Sea of Fire said, Beyond that, I can't say anything more. The Yuan family ancestor turned around expressionlessly and gave Ling Yunpo a look. Ling Yunpo cooperated and made a confused expression. Okay. The Yuan family ancestor had no choice but to give up, then leave it to him. He turned around indifferently, took out the kindling divine pearl from his sleeve, and threw it directly to Ling Yunpo. Thank you, ancestor. Ling Yunpo said hurriedly, but this result is still unsatisfactory, don't say any more. The Yuan family ancestor was discouraged and walked out of the valley. He sighed and said, the sword search operation will stop here for the time being. Chapter 303. Donghuan Realm, a must. After the southern expedition, the Shushan swordsman returned to Shushan. Lin Yulanzhen and the others did not ask for details. After all, when the Yuan family ancestor came back, his face was so ugly, as if he had been scolded by Yang Zhao. After returning to King Luo Peak, Ling Yunpo showed the kindling divine pearl to Nzisu. I heard that the kindling divine pearl was nurtured with the essence of Ye wood. Nzisu said softly, if you further use the secret method to refine it, you can nourish your soul in it for a long time and turn it into your second incarnation. But that secret method of refining is even rarer than the kindling divine pearl. Junior brother, if you want this refining method, you'd probably have to start from the ancestor of the Yuan family. It's a pity that the sword hunting operation has been temporarily suspended. Ling Yunpo sighed and said, interest exchange, one thing is one thing, I'm afraid I can't come up with anything that the ancestor of the Yuan family will like. Don't worry. Senior sister comforted him, I will keep an eye out for you too. After sending Nzisu back to his residence, Ling Yunpo returned to his room with a thoughtful look in his eyes. Jing. He whispered, do you think this is a coincidence? It's like someone sent me a raincoat, a bamboo hat and an umbrella early on, and then it suddenly rained. This is really just a coincidence. Kumlinjing said speechlessly, you doubt me. Why do you think I doubt you? Ling Yunpo asked with a smile. Okay. Kumlinjing sighed and said, this is a coincidence, and it's not a coincidence. What do you mean? Ling Yunpo asked in a deep voice. Coincidence means exactly what it says. Kumlin Mirror replied, I don't have the ability to interfere with all this. It's not a coincidence, it means that you will definitely be able to collect all the fragments of the Butian stone. From the past to the present, and to the future, I firmly believe in this. Ling Yunpo was silent for a moment, and asked, you have a way to enter the Donghuan Demon Realm without passing through the Donghuan Realm Gate, right? I have the coordinates of that place. Kumlin Mirror replied, not only the Donghuan Demon Realm, but also outside the Nine Heavens, the Netherworld and the Yellow Spring, any place where there may be fragments of the Butian stone, I have the corresponding coordinates here. That's right. Ling Yunpo nodded, after all, you have been on Earth for so many years, it is impossible for you to be unprepared. Then what do you say? Kumlin Mirror asked, are we going now? Let's pick a personal template first. Ling Yunpo let out a long breath, just use the drop of Yinglong's blood essence. Yeah. Kumlin Mirror pinched out a little dragon, how about the shape? Ling Yunpo looked at it carefully for a moment and asked, Jin, this dragon, from the perspective of the Dragon Clan's aesthetic vision, is it handsome? I don't really understand the aesthetics of the dragon race. Kumlin Mirror replied, I know a little bit of their language. Then let's skip this for now. Ling Yunpo frowned and said, although my realm is not high enough to transform, I think you can help solve this problem, Jin. In common terms, the transformation of the demon race is equivalent to the formation of the human race. Kumlin Mirror replied, but some excellent bloodliners, such as the dragon race, do have exceptions. Corresponding to the human race's ki refining, marrow washing and palace transformation, the demon race's blood realm is also divided into 3 stages. Ki drawing, bone expansion and blood burning. Draw the sun's essence and moon's light into the body, reshape the tendons, bones and veins, and finally burn the impurities in the blood, and then you can transform into a human-like shape. In other words, if the blood has few impurities, you can transform into a human form before the impurities are gone. Is the impurities in Yinglong's blood enough? Ling Yunpo laughed. Of course it is enough. Kumlin Mirror gave a positive answer. Well, show me what you look like after the transformation. The little dragon in the field of vision soon turned into a black-haired boy. Isn't this appearance too similar to Ling Yunpo? Ling Yunpo asked thoughtfully. Have they? Kumlin Mirror was stunned for a moment, a little bit, then how do you want to change it? Qiu Chang's Han is domineering, Ling Yunpo is resolute, Luo Yan is honest, Wei Dongliu is evil, so how about the gentle and sunny one this time? Ling Yunpo thought for a while, and said, "First of all, the appearance must be handsome, and the charm of my original body must be reflected. The facial features remain unchanged, only the hairstyle and clothes change, and of course the most important, temperament." Kunlun Mirror replied, "Temperament comes with talent. What was your impression of Yinglong when he was in the demon locking tower?" Ling Yunpo recalled carefully and asked uncertainly, "Unruly? Idle? Bad taste? Those are all his disguises on the surface." Kunlun Mirror reminded again, "Think about it, because of the vow and bet, he is willing to lie dormant in the demon locking tower. What kind of character is this?" "You mean, he lost the fight with the Changmei Immortal, so he is willing to guard the demon locking tower, right?" Ling Yunpo suddenly realized, "So it is persistence." "That's right," Kunlun Mirror said. "Persistence and unyielding are somewhat similar." Ling Yunpo frowned and said, "Where do you think the difference is, Jin?" "Unyielding means that you become more courageous when facing difficulties." Kunlun Jin analyzed, "Persistence means that you set your goal and don't look back." In other words, the synchronization value of unyielding can be easily obtained by facing difficulties head-on as long as there are endless difficulties. Ling Yunpo thought thoughtfully, and for the synchronization value of persistence, choosing the right goal to persist is the most important thing. "That's right," Kunlun Jing said. "If you choose an inappropriate goal, then in order to maintain the synchronization value, you must bite the bullet and persevere. So, just like the unyielding character cannot give up easily, the persistent character cannot make promises easily. This is the key point you need to remember." "Okay." Ling Yunpo said he knew. "Finally, what is the specific talent of this character template?" "The talent is Yinglong Bloodliner." Kunlun Jing replied, "Yinglong is the pinnacle of the Jielong Bloodliner. The first 4 stages of this bloodliner live in rivers, lakes and seas, but when it reaches the Yinglong stage, it will leave the water and rush to the mainland. Therefore, Yinglong blood will give you the ability to master the 2 elements of water and earth. In addition, this character template has all the innate powers of the dragon race, and it will only be stronger." "I see. What about the name?" Ling Yunpo asked again. "Name?" Kunlun Mirror was a little stuck. "How about you think of one this time?" "Well, how about calling it Long Long?" Ling Yunpo suddenly remembered a certain Donghuan duelder named Li. "Okay," Kunlun Mirror said, "then let's teleport." It began to mechanically read. Point 5. Donghuan Realm, Cannon Plain, Bewa Valley. Character Identity: Long Long. Mirror Flower Water Moon template is overwritten, and is traveling through time and space. Chapter 304. A sudden disaster in the Valley of Flowers. Donghuan Demon Realm, Cannon Plain, Bewa Valley, Samxibang River. Why is it a snake? The young dragon, nicknamed Long Long, twisted his body constantly under the water, swam flexibly and swam forward, screaming in his heart. "This is not a water snake," Kunlun Mirror said helplessly. "This is called Water Viper, the predecessor of the dragon. I just want to ask you, where is the human form you agreed to?" Long Long wanted to cry but had no tears. "Ahem," Kunlun Mirror said embarrassedly, "this is the first time I have encountered such a thing. Logically speaking, with the concentration of Yinglong's blood essence, this result should not have occurred." At this point, she paused for a moment and said, "Could it be the atavism effect?" "What atavism effect?" Long Long said inexplicably. "It's like this," Kunlun Mirror explained. "Different individuals have different tolerances to different bloodliness. It's possible that your body is particularly suitable for the blood of the dragon clan, so that it perfectly exerts the effect of Yinglong bloodliner, making your initial form closer to a dragon than a human. But it doesn't matter." Seeing that Long Long was getting more and more impatient, it quickly made amends and said, "In fact, this is a good thing. The rank and suitability of bloodliner determine the height you can reach in the future. For example, it's like the imperial examination, where 100 is the full mark, but your paper is 1,000. In this way, no one can compare to you. Of course, the price is that when you do the paper, your progress is much slower than others." "Shut up, Broken Mirror." Long Long gritted his teeth and said, "I'll remember this account." Kingping Sword chuckled, but soon disappeared. Out of boredom, Long Long followed the Samxibang River and swam all over the 100 Flowers Valley. By the way, Bewa Valley and Samxibang River are both names given to this place by Lenglong. The former is close to the river, and the soil is moist and lush, so there are all kinds of abundant wildflowers and grasses, densely connected, and the scenery is unique. The latter flows down from the western mountains, splits into three on the west side of Beerwah Valley, flows through the entire Beerwah Valley, and reunites at two river forks on the east side, and merges into the river that flows from north to south on the east side of the valley. More importantly, there are no transformed monsters living in Beerwah Valley. As early as in the misty forests of southern Xinjiang and the deep lakes of the aquatic tribe, Ling Yunpo and the fisherman sacrificed to learn the language of the dragon tribe, and also learned a lot of cultural customs of the demon society. Demons are the general term for all kinds of creatures in the world that humans have become spirits, which does not mean that they're a race. On the contrary, it is common for different races to kill each other. Even more cruel than the killing of different races is the contempt of the transformed sand table demons for the untransformed monsters. You know, most demons can only have wisdom after they transform. Even those with higher blood like the dragon clan, at the level of water snakes before they transform, are at most more intelligent, roughly the same as human children. Therefore, if Long Long is unlucky enough to encounter a transformed demon, the other party will not regard him as a fellow tribe, but a beast. Killing him at will is also without any moral burden. In short, it is absolutely a great blessing for Long Long that there are no transformed demons in the 100 Flowers Valley. As for what to do next, it is to practice the Dragon Clan's skills as soon as possible, refine and master this Yinglong bloodline that is very compatible with him, and transform into a human form in advance. Only by transforming into a human form can you leave the 100 Flowers Valley, and even if you encounter a transformed demon, you at least have the qualifications to talk and negotiate. Strange. Kunlun Mirror suddenly said. Long Long was looking for a crack in the stone bottom of the river, crawling in and coiling up his body. Hearing what Kunlun Mirror said, he asked curiously, "What's wrong?" "I can't find that breath of the fragment of the sky repairing stone," Kunlun Mirror said. "Isn't this normal?" Long Long said, "In most of the time in the human world, you didn't find that breath of the Dutian stone." "No." Kunlun Mirror said, "I recorded this coordinate in the Donghuan demon realm because I found the breath of the Dutian stone nearby." "How long ago was that?" Long Long asked speechlessly. "It was indeed a long time ago," Kunlun Mirror said helplessly. "From the breath of the time, the Dutian stone was not carried, but was used to seal something, so I thought, so what?" Long Long sighed, "So many years, at least tens of thousands of years? What is impossible to happen in the meantime? Maybe what you detected at the beginning was indeed Yin Xiaojing or someone else, who was using the Dutian stone to seal something here, but then came back to take it away. That can only be considered bad luck." Kunlun Mirror said frustratedly. "What do you mean by bad luck? This is a high probability event, okay?" Long Long said helplessly, "It's still the same as other characters, practice first. Wait until you have practiced to a sufficient level of cultivation, and then go out to look for clues and opportunities." Kunlun Mirror was speechless. It suddenly realized that Chen Yunzui was not in a hurry to find that Dutian stone. The day when all the Dutian stones were found would be the day when he would be hunted down by the entire cultivation world. According to Chen Yunzui's idea, he would definitely accumulate enough strength to protect himself before that. In other words, he would be very happy if the Dutian stones in the East Empire realm disappeared. "Okay." It could only say helplessly, "Then you have to hurry up." "Of course." Long Long immediately agreed. He stayed at the bottom of the lake for a long time, until noon, then he slowly swam out of the river, climbed up the treetops in the nearby forest, entangled the treetops, and began to practice the Yuanzi 8 Powers Dragon Text Sutra, swallowing and absorbing the Great Sun Treasure Essence. It was not until 3/4 afternoon that he quickly swam out of the woods and returned to the bottom of the river to hibernate again. Because he had already fasted, Long Long did not need to eat anything or breathe, and could stay at the bottom of the river for a long time. If it were another monster, whose intelligence was not yet awakened, even if he had fasted, he would not be able to resist eating blood, which would expose himself. How could he be as cautious as me? After staying at the bottom of the river until the middle of the night, he swam out of the river again, returned to the top of the tree, practiced his skills, and breathed in to absorb the treasures of the Great Moon. Dozens of days passed like this, and suddenly one day, the 100 Flowers Valley suddenly shook, and countless monsters ran towards the east of the valley. Long Long was shocked when he noticed the beasts running at the bottom of the river. Could it be that there was a disaster coming from the west of the valley? He hurriedly left the river and followed the monsters to the east. After crossing the Sangsaibang River, he came to the Ruhai River in the east. He saw a large ship moored on the river bank. Several waiters on the boat surrounded an old man, and there was a boy standing by the boat, throwing the pills in his hand like sugar beans. Countless monsters below immediately scrambled for it, fighting to the death like in the Colosseum, with blood and flesh flying everywhere. The boy found it interesting and laughed. Long Long followed the edge of the herd, and when he saw this scene, he subconsciously wanted to turn around and run. However, he soon changed his mind and realized that if he went back alone, he would be too conspicuous in the herd of animals rushing for the elixir, so he quickly pretended to fight for it. Unfortunately, his movements were still a little slow, and the boy saw him from the corner of his eye. He pointed his finger, and Long Long was immediately unable to move. He flew up from the herd and landed on the deck. "Grandpa! Grandpa!" The boy held Long Long and ran to the old man to present the treasure. "This looks like a dragon. Can I raise a dragon?" "Of course not." The old man looked at Long Long in surprise and said, "This is a water viper. Water vipers can evolve into dragons." The boy said innocently, "That's why we can't keep it." The old man smiled and said, "If this water snake can evolve into a dragon, the dragon clan will never allow its members to wander outside. If it can't evolve into a dragon, what's the point of keeping it?" The boy was unwilling and said with a pout, "Then it's better not to be discovered by the dragon clan, isn't it?" "No." The old man continued to coax him and said, "My dear grandson, next time Grandpa will get you a mermaid to play with, okay?" "No, no, no." The boy got angry, ran to the boat, threw Long Long into the river, and shouted, "If you don't want to keep it, then don't." "I don't want it at all." Long Long was fixed by his immobilization technique. How could he move? He immediately fell into the water and floated down the river like a floating corpse. Chapter 305. Greedy, Bargaining. When he first came to the Donghuan demon realm, Long Long felt the simplicity of the people here. The demon cultivators gave porridge to the demon beasts, and seeing that he was pitiful, they sent him into the water. They were really kind. It would have been better if he hadn't been immobilized. Long Long's body froze there, sank into the water, and was swept down by the river. Suddenly, his eyes went black, as if he was swept into a narrow area. Long Long's body slammed into the stone wall, and he almost cried out in pain, but his mouth was stiff and he couldn't speak. Before he could curse and scold the boy in his heart, he was hit again. Then another time, and another time, Long Long was hit all over his body and his mind was confused. I don't know how long it took before he suddenly fell from a height and fell into the pool. The effect of the immobilization technique finally faded. Long Long struggled to turn his body up, only to find that many of his scales had fallen off, revealing large pieces of blood and flesh wounds. He looked up and saw that he was in an underground cave somewhere. Just now at the bottom of the river, because his head could not move, he could not see his surroundings clearly. He only knew that he seemed to be washed from the bottom of the river into the underground river, and then was pushed by the water flow to hit the stone wall crazily, and finally was washed into this place by the underground water. Raising his head, Long Long only saw a bulge of the top of the cave, and the underground river flowed down from it, forming a small waterfall in the cave, and merged into the pool at the bottom of the cave. He tried to climb up the rock, but found that due to the abundant water vapor in the cave, the rock wall was also covered with moss, wet and slippery, and he could not climb up at all. Forget it, let's heal the wound here first, and then let Jin teleport him back to the 100 Flowers Valley later. Checking the wound on his body again, Long Long hissed in pain and spit out his tongue, while distinguishing the smell in the air. The sense of smell of the water viper is very sensitive, even better than vision and hearing. This cave seems to be very large. Long Long can sense the fresh air coming from a distance, so he twists his body and explores forward. If there is really no danger here, then it won't be too late to heal the wound here first and then teleport away. As the passage winds down, Long Long feels more and more comfortable. It's not that he discovered anything, but this kind of winding and narrow environment makes snakes instinctively like and feel safe. After walking forward for about a quarter of an hour, Long Long suddenly entered a spacious cave. That's it. Come Linjing said excitedly, look, Chengyu and Zui. I told you there is one. I told you a long time ago. There was a natural stone platform in the cave, and on the stone platform there was a bright ball of light, which constantly emitted changing colors. On the surface of the ball of light, you can see a colorful stone fragment, rotating around the ball of light irregularly, as if it was sealing the object inside. The art of returning vitality to the hidden place. Kingping Sword also said in astonishment, and they actually used the heaven-repairing stone. Is there some savior sealed in it? Don't be silly, Kingping. Long Long said lightly, except for me, where is the man of destiny? He twisted his body forward and was about to try to observe the light ball, when he suddenly heard the light ball say, Stop, monster. It spoke in ancient language, but Long Long was not ignorant of ancient language. He immediately spit out the snake tongue and answered with difficulty. Who are you? It seems to be some kind of obsession. Kunlun Mirror suddenly said, it's the same spell used by Yang Zhao. The main body is dead, and only the obsession is placed here to maintain a little bit of true spirit. I'm just an undead. The light ball murmured in a low voice, and suddenly said strangely, you were not a snake, you were a dragon. But you are still so young, where are your elders? Long Long. Why must the dragon clan have elders? Can't they be orphans? As if seeing through his embarrassment, the ball of light sighed and said, so you were abandoned by the tribe just like me. I don't understand what you are talking about. Long Long immediately made up a lie skillfully and said in a confused and ignorant tone, ever since I became conscious, I have been alone, I have never seen my own kind. Oh, the ball of light said faintly, have you ever thought about looking for your people? Where are my people? Long Long asked with pretended joy. Your people, the light ball hesitated for a moment before saying, if I'm not mistaken, they should be in the North Pole. The water system here is connected to the Nanlan River outside. You follow the Nanlan River all the way north, through Nanzhou and Thongzhou, and finally arrive at Bizhou, then continue north to the sea. It's called Beiming Fanyun, and deep in it is Beiming Yujing, which is where your dragon clan has lived for generations. At this point, the light ball hesitated for a moment, and then said, but from south to north, you need to cross most of the eastern parallel. You haven't transformed yet. If you are seen by a cultivator, it is likely that they will kill you and skin you alive. Long Long remained silent, as if he was digesting the information revealed by the other party. The dragon clan seems to be a rare monster in the eastern parallel. Otherwise, the bear kid wouldn't have cried and begged his grandfather to raise him as if he had a rare toy. If it were any other race, there would be no solution. The light ball organized its words a little, and continued, fortunately, you were a dragon, so it is not impossible for you to transform before forming the demon pill. How to do it? Long Long asked hurriedly. I can teach you the secret technique of transformation. The light ball replied, but there is a condition. You have to protect my daughter and bring her to the North Sea Netherworld. She dimmed the light slightly, revealing the female corpse in the center of the light ball. The woman had a plump figure and beautiful appearance, with long golden hair wrapped around her body. Her face and lips were extremely pale, and it was obvious that she was no longer alive. A little golden fox lay motionless in the arms of its mother's corpse, as if it was sleeping. Long Long. He reacted instantly. Could this big light ball be the wife of Yinlong in the demon-locking tower? My daughter has had the blood of 3 tribes, human, dragon and fox, since she was born. The 3 tribes conflict with each other, making her bloodline now extremely unstable. The big light ball continued, I can only seal her bloodline, otherwise she will die from that blood conflict in no more than 300 years. The dragon tribe has a way to completely solve her blood problem, so going to Beiming Yujing is her only way to survive. But I'm dead, and I can't send her north. We have been in this deep cave for who knows how long. Long Long understood the pleading in her words and asked tentatively, then, where is her father? Her father? The big light ball was slightly startled, then sighed and said, if my daughter had a father, how could she have fallen into such a situation? Long Long. Su Jianing Long and Yang Zhao, their cultivation strength is stronger than each other, why are they so lame when it comes to being fathers? Are the male cultivators in this cultivation world very similar to an IGE in their views on marriage and love? Are you willing to believe me? Long Long asked in confusion, this is the first time we meet. I have no choice. The big light ball replied, but as a mother, I ask you to swear with your heart of Tao. You swear to do your best to send my daughter to Beiming Yujing safely. In return, I will give you the secret technique of transformation and all my inheritance. Long Long fell silent again. The choice before him was not complicated. Accept or refuse. If he chose to accept, then he would never regret it under the oath of his heart of Tao. The next step was to escort the dragon fox, the daughter of Yinlong, to Beiming Yujing. During this period, the Butian stone was needed to seal the blood conflict in her body. But as long as she arrived in Beiming Yujing, her blood problem was solved, her oath was declared complete, and she could immediately start with her Butian stone fragments. After getting the Butian stone fragments and teleporting away quickly, Long Long's character was announced to be released, and there was no worry. If he agrees to choose not to accept, then with the gentle character shown by this big light ball, it should not turn hostile, but it will definitely not let itself stay here. So, if we use force to rob, are we sure? Long Long thought silently, and the big light ball also saw his entanglement. After all, swearing an oath with the heart of Tao is a very serious matter, and of course it is impossible to agree to it immediately. I have some questions. Long Long suddenly asked. My mission is to try to bring your daughter to the beaming netherworld alive, right? Let me give you an example. If your daughter refuses to follow my arrangements on the way, I will make her listen to you completely. The big light ball said immediately. Very good, custody is in hand. Long Long continued to probe and asked. Does this sealing magic weapon count as part of your inheritance? This is a fragment of the Butian stone. The big light ball replied, I use it to seal my daughter's dragon bloodline, so that she can only present the form of a human or a sky fox. As long as you reach the beaming netherworld and solve her blood conflict problem, you can also take this Butian stone fragment. Very good, the inheritance right is also in hand. Since this mother is so easy to talk to, it is not impossible to send this dragon fox on a journey for the sake of the Butian stone fragment and the secret art of transformation. Chapter 306 The little fox needs education. Facing the big ball of light, Long Long solemnly swore, I swear by my heart that I will do my best to protect Dragon Fox and help her reach beaming Netherlands safely. If it was someone else, Long Long would definitely not make such a straightforward heart oath, at least he would ask the other party to make an equal heart oath. However, since Arjun's scan confirmed that the other party was just an obsession, Long Long was too lazy to talk nonsense with her. After all, he had seen how disgusting obsession was from Aang Zhao a long time ago. After making the oath, although the big ball of light had no expression to read words and expressions, there was obviously a sense of relief in its tone, as well as a very close meaning. Well, since you have entrusted your orphan to me, you must treat me as a relative. The big ball of light said gently. Next, I will remove the seal on my body and my daughter, and only keep the seal on her blood. Including the secret art of shape-shifting, all the inheritance is in my storage bag, and it belongs to you from now on. Thank you. Long Long said with a snake tongue, your daughter, her name is Longhu. Okay, when will Miss Longhu wake up? 3 days later. The big ball of light replied, I left 3 seals on her. The first seal seals her life, causing her body to fall into a time stagnation and no longer age. The second seal seals her soul, causing her consciousness to fall into eternal sleep, so as to prevent her from falling into madness over a long period of time. The third seal seals her blood. I will keep this seal, and when she arrives in the beaming netherworld and integrates all her own blood, it will automatically be released. After all 3 seals are released, the fragment of the Butian stone used to seal will be yours. Okay. Long Long thought for a moment, and then asked, when Miss Longhu wakes up, what do I need to say to win her trust? There is a blank jade slip in my storage bag. The big light ball asked, please help me take it out. Long Long twisted his body, circled forward, picked the storage bag on the waist of the female corpse, probed into it with his spiritual sense, and took out the jade slip. What I am going to say to her is all recorded in the jade slip. The big light ball said weakly, and his voice gradually became lower. My obsession is over. I'm going to disappear. Longhu, I have only spent 5 or 6 years in this world. Please, treat her well. As the light gradually dimmed, Long Long suddenly hissed and asked, who is Yin Xiaojin to you? Ah? The big light ball's voice was already inaudible, and it said subconsciously in surprise, she is my mother. Before the voice fell, the light was completely extinguished. The colorful stone fragments surrounding the big light ball also stopped spinning and fell on the little fox's neck. Long Long then noticed that the fragment of the sky-repairing stone was strung together with a thin chain and made into a pendant. 3 days passed in a flash. Long Long stood up from the ground, transformed into a human form, and stretched comfortably. Finally transformed. Being a snake doesn't feel good. Most of the time, he was crawling on the ground, looking up at the surrounding things, feeling like he was kneeling. He came to the pool of water in the cave and looked at his reflection. Well, he does look a bit like Ling Yunpo, but the difference is also obvious. Ling Yunpo is a resolute boy with strong and cold facial features, while Long Long's transformed appearance is a handsome boy with red lips and white teeth, and a bit more of Qiu Chang Tian's elegance. When he returned to the cave again, Long Long saw the little fox staggering to his feet, and then fell softly on the stone platform. After sleeping for tens of thousands of years, or even hundreds of thousands of years, even machines will rust, let alone the body. Mom. The dragon fox opened his eyes with all his strength, but his eyelids drooped together. He cried with a faint cry, Mom. I'm here. Long Long hurried over and said, When the dragon fox heard the unfamiliar male voice, he was shocked and opened his eyes suddenly. Her pupils were golden and cold, with vertical pupils unique to reptiles. She came with the familiar pressure of the dragon clan, which made Long Long feel very kind and charming. Well, the favorability increased. You. The little fox bared his teeth. Who are you? What do you want to do? She began to release the pressure very hard, but the pressure of the dragon clan fell on Long Long, as if he smelled the pheromone of courtship, making him more and more happy. I was sent by your mother to take care of you. Fortunately, Long Long was not a lustful person, and he immediately took out the jade slip and threw it to her. The dragon fox did not take it immediately, but reflexively dodged. When she found that Long Long did not move forward, but took a half step back, she walked over carefully and sniffed the jade slip tentatively. She could not smell anything wrong, and the jade slip belonged to her mother. So she hesitated for a moment before she probed her consciousness into it and read it carefully. After reading the jade slip, Long was already in tears and crying. Ahem. Long Long felt that she was a little pitiful, so he sat down next to the stone platform and comforted her. In fact, your mother has died a long time ago. Long immediately cried even harder. But life has to look forward. Long Long hurriedly said to make amends, do you know how you survived? Because your mother used the fragments of the booty and stone to seal your dragon bloodliner. You have 3 bloodliners in your body: human, dragon, and fox. The overly mixed bloodliner composition has caused a strong blood conflict. Your mother said that the dragons living in the Beiming Yujing will have a way to resolve this conflict. So I will take you to the Beiming Sea. I don't want to go to the Beiming Sea. Long Hu said with tears in his eyes. Then where do you want to go? Long Long had to take out the tone of coaxing a child and ask kindly. I want my mother. Long Hu started crying again. Long Long, you're unreasonable, right? Can children be unreasonable? Let me teach you a lesson. So he ignored Long Hu's resistance and grabbed the little fox by the back of the neck and lifted him up. The dragon fox opened her mouth and bit him, but ended up biting him. The Long talent in Long Long's body made his flesh hard, and the little fox's teeth couldn't bite into it at all. The little fox was so angry that she turned over, grabbed his arm with her limbs, and hit him in the face with her fluffy and soft tail. Long Long's nose was tickled by her, so he grabbed her tail with his free left hand, and then stroked it hard from the root to the tip of the tail. Dragon fox. Her body suddenly spasmed and trembled, as if countless electric currents were running through her body. You're shameless. She let go of Long Long's right arm and scolded. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 307A. Man's Promise. Half a month later, in the 100 Flowers Valley. How is this house? Long Long asked. It's okay. Long said weakly. The two looked at the newly built cabin in front of them, which was carefully covered with waterproof straw and leaves. Do we have to live here? Long asked again. Then where do you want to live? Long asked back. I don't know. Long said sadly, where there is a mother, everything is good, and where there is no mother, nothing is good. So you are a mama's boy fox? Long asked with empty eyes. Long didn't understand the word, but he realized that it was not a good word, so he kept silent. Of course there is a reason for living here. Long said lazily, you know how monks view monsters? Although in theory, monks are all monsters, but over time, any self-awareness will be worn out. Unfortunately, the lifespan of monks is too long. You can't transform now, and in the eyes of monks, you were a beast, do you understand? You're the beast. Long was angry. It's the animal. Long didn't argue with her, just said calmly, I promised your mother that I would take you to the North Sea Neverland. If you can't transform, I can't take you away from here. That's too risky. I know. Long said weakly. Your mother has given me the technique you want to practice. Long took out the jade slip from his storage bag. It seems to be from the South China Sea. Read it first, and ask me if you don't understand. After another half a day, Long came back with his hands behind his back. How did you read it? Long asked. Yeah. Long replied reluctantly. No problem. Long asked in surprise. No problem. Long said. Then I'll ask you a few questions. Long picked a few difficult points to ask. With his cultivation level of the Transformation Palace, even if he only read it roughly once, it would be easy for him to understand. The strange thing is that although the questions are not simple, Dragon Fox's answers are all correct. Obviously, this little fox is quite smart. It's a pity that the initial favorability is too low, and he can't do whatever he wants with her. What do you want to eat for lunch? Long Long decided to brush up his trust first. I'm fasting, what do I eat? Dragon Fox asked listlessly. Well, although I can fast without eating, I can also reward myself occasionally. Long Long pinched his nose and said. This set of perverse logic learned from Mishi made Dragon Fox a little tempted, so she sniffed and said, I don't want to eat. Long Long was too familiar with this set of women's hypocrisy, so he immediately went out and shot a pheasant in the woods. No wonder the demon cultivators don't recognize demon beasts. You know, almost all animals and plants can become spirits. What kind of racial equality is this? Then everyone shouldn't eat anything. Long Long walked around the wooden house, then found an upwind vent and set up the grill. Then he took out the flying sword and started chopping wood. Long Hu's mother left 2 swords in her storage bag, one called Cold Dragon Roar and the other called Fire Fox Roar, both of which were of the 10th grade. The names were obviously in pairs, and Long Long suspected that these 2 swords might have been left by Ying Long and his wife. He picked the long Yin sword himself, chopped off the wet branches and leaves from the branches, put them under the grill and started a fire. Then, Long Long plucked a pheasant, dug out the internal organs, and put it on the grill to paint. When the smell of oil mixed with spices came out, he cast a spell in his hand, letting the wind carry the fragrance towards the cabin. In the cabin, Long Hu was reading the jade slips boredly, and suddenly smelled the aroma of roasting pepper and chicken. Her saliva was secreted uncontrollably, but she knew in her heart that Long Long was deliberately tempting her, and she was immediately furious. How can I, Dragon Fox, be tempted by a bloody meal like barbecue? You really underestimate me. After another half a quarter of an hour, she couldn't read the jade slip anymore. No, the smell is too fragrant, it is always distracting my attention, I must go out and scold him. So the little fox jumped off the bed, ran to the grill with all 4 legs, and stared at him angrily. Long Long. He ate the chicken leg in confusion, and saw the little fox stand up on his hind legs and put his front legs on his body. The golden dragon pupils were full of majesty, and the eyes were clearly silently accusing, meaning, the grill is too high, I can't reach it. Long Long laughed dumbly, and tore off another chicken leg and handed it to her. Dragon Fox bit the chicken leg and ran away. After another half a quarter of an hour, she ran back to the grill again, and as usual, she stood up with her feet and clung to Long Long, staring at him and threatening him. I want more. Long Long pretended not to understand, but just picked up Long Hu and wiped the oil stains from her mouth with a handkerchief. Then, the ashamed and angry Long Hu broke free from his arms, jumped onto his shoulder, and used his big tail to slap his face, slapping him a few times, then snatched away the chicken wings that he had not yet eaten, and ran away again. Long Long. It feels quite comfortable to have a big tail on your face. It's a pity that I still have to work to practice as soon as possible, and then learn the secret art of transformation, otherwise there is no way to get out of this 100 Flowers Valley. After a few more days, Long finally learned the secret art of transformation. This secret art of transformation, different from the real transformation after Dan, is strictly a combination of body refining technique and delusion technique. After performing the secret technique, not only can it transform into a human form, but it can also fine-tune its facial features and figure to achieve an effect similar to plastic surgery, which can be called the demon version of the 10 phases of interpretation. After the Dragon Fox performed the secret technique, it rolled on the ground and turned into a cute and lovely girl. The long golden hair was like a spring jasmine, draped over the shoulders softly and brilliantly, and the contours of the facial features were also gentle and delicate, and she looked like a girl of 14 or 15 years old. But her eyes were still golden and vertical, and when she turned her eyes, she had an extremely cold sense of majesty, as if she was the hunting gaze of a superior. The domineering and cold-blooded dragon and the gentle and cunning fox, the 2 opposite temperaments intertwined, created an extremely innate charm for the Dragon Fox, which made Long Long like and get close to it. It's just that I'm too young, so I don't understand the good brother's painstaking efforts at all, and I always rebel against me. Fortunately, the lifespan of practitioners is very long. After the monster beast forms a monster pill, its lifespan is even more outrageous, far higher than that of the human Jindan cultivator of the same level. Long Long then secretly made up his mind in his heart, since he had already promised his mother-in-law, he would definitely train his Dragon Fox into a perfect demon cultivator. This is a man's promise. Chapter 308. Building trust by skipping stones. There is an essential difference between the transformation through secret techniques and the transformation through the formation of demon elixir. After going through the heavenly tribulation, forming a demon elixir, and entering the transformation realm, corresponding to the human race's golden elixir realm, you can obtain a permanent humanoid form, which the demons call True Lord. The humanoid form of the True Lord is called the Dharma body. The demon body is called the True body. The most important purpose of the Dharma body is to conceal the racial characteristics of the original body. Secondly, the Dharma body has flexible 5 fingers on both hands, which makes it more convenient to pinch Taoist formulas and control swords. The True Lord can switch between the Dharma body and the True body at any time. It only takes a thought to operate at will, which is extremely flexible. Wait. The dragon fox in the form of a blonde girl interrupted Long Long's classroom teaching. Why do you have to hide the original race? It's very simple. Long Long said, each race has its own bloodline of talent. For example, the bloodline of talent of the dragon race is high level, and the dragon power derived on this basis, as well as the skills of emitting dragon power through gazing, chanting, roaring, etc., are an excellent trump card at a critical moment. But if people know you were a dragon from the beginning, then this trump card is equivalent to being revealed, and people will naturally be on guard. A thoughtful expression appeared on Longhu's delicate and lovely face. She suddenly realized that the Fox clan needs to hide their trump cards more than the Dragon clan. After all, the dragon's might is hard power, and if you can't bear it, you can't bear it. The Fox clan's mastery of illusion is very particular about surprise. If people know your identity as a celestial fox, you only need to prepare magic weapons that can resist illusions in advance, and your talent will be equivalent to failure. Seeing her thoughtful expression, Long Long began to mutter in his heart. The human race and the demon race each have their own advantages and disadvantages. The human race has no blood talent and the body is more fragile, but it is better to open the spiritual wisdom quickly and can quickly enter the Tao through learning. The demon race has blood talent and a strong body, but before the transformation period, most races are muddle-headed beasts. Even if the demon monks of the same race come to lead them, they are limited by their lack of spiritual wisdom and cannot lead them at all. However, Longhu is a hybrid of human, dragon and fox, so should the bloodline of talent be counted according to the dragon race or the fox race? He had read some research notes left by his mother-in-law, which said that if 2 different races are mixed, the stronger bloodliner will devour the other bloodliner, thus eliminating the bloodliner conflict. But Longhu's situation is special. Her human bloodliner and fox bloodliner are united to resist the devouring of that dragon bloodliner. So far, his mother-in-law has not figured out why. But this confrontation is very disadvantageous to Longhu. The 3 bloodliners fighting in her body will sooner or later damage her essence. Well, let's continue. Long Long collected his thoughts and continued. After all, the secret art of transformation is a shortcut, so it is not as good as the real transformation in all aspects. First of all, the transformation needs to maintain the secret art, so you need to circulate your true energy all the time. Secondly, since it is a secret art, it is possible to be seen through, blocked by magic weapons, and fail in other situations. Therefore, don't think that you have a secret art and take it lightly when you are outside, understand? I understand. Long gritted his teeth and said angrily, also, don't touch my head. Long Long calmly withdrew his hand and said, your hair is messy, I will help you smooth it. In short, after leaving the 100 Flowers Valley, you have to listen to me in everything, understand? Got it. Long said reluctantly. I can't hear you. Long shouted with a tense face, louder. Got it. You are so annoying. Long was so angry that he cursed and turned away. Long watched Longhu run out of the house without stopping him. He felt that Longhu had been developing more and more like his daughter recently, and she was the kind of rebellious girl that was unique to adolescence. This was not a good sign. Unfortunately, he had gained sufficient experience in dealing with female monks, and had countless tricks to deal with the little fox. He left the cabin silently and found Longhu by the river. The little girl was picking up stones by the river and skipping them into the river. Probably because the fox's real body could not pick up stones, she had so much fun after she was able to transform into a human form with a secret technique. Suddenly a stone flew out, clattering on the surface of the river, and bounced 4 water skips before falling silently into the water. Longhu. She turned around angrily and glared at Long Long with her eyes. With the help of the secret technique of transformation, she had completely covered up her golden vertical pupils, which was very cute. Therefore, Long Long was not afraid, but rather itchy. But he was a gentleman after all, so he quickly suppressed his charming thoughts and said arrogantly, "How about it, can you do it?" "Why can't I?" Long, who was a child after all, and was immediately fooled by his provocation, "Watch me." So the two stood by the lake and played the water-skipping game for nearly an hour. Long, who was beaten to tears, and he had never won even once. Long watched coldly, thinking that even Sisters Yu would not be fooled by this thing, and the little fox was really easy to be provoked. Then he pretended to be deep and said, "How about it, are you convinced?" "No." Long, who was still stubborn, "I suspect there is something wrong with your stone. I just picked it up by the river, what can be wrong?" Long said indifferently, "The reason why you can't beat me is actually because I have a special skill in skipping water, did you see it?" "What skill?" The little fox's ears immediately stood up, thinking that it was indeed the case, not because I am not as good as him, but because of the information gap. HMPH. Long turned around and pretended to be mysterious, keeping everyone in suspense. What skills, what skills? Seeing that he was about to tell the story, Long suddenly stopped. He immediately became very anxious and ran around Long. Tell me. Long kept turning around and refused to talk to Long. The little fox was so anxious that he grabbed his arm, shook it hard and yelled, "You are lying. You don't have any skills at all, it must be because you did something to the stone." Long. "Oh, you'll learn quickly, are you using the provocation method on me? I can teach you, but there is a condition." He showed a doting smile like senior sister Anne, and said gently, "As long as you can practice the secret art of transformation to the point where you can maintain it for 3 hours. Not only will I teach you the technique of skipping stones, but I will also make you 3 secret roast chickens, each with a different flavor. How about it?" "I want 4. The little fox immediately took advantage of the situation, put his hands on his hips, and said loudly and proudly, 4 different flavors, each one must be as delicious as the pepper and salt flavor." Long quickly calculated in his mind that in addition to the salty taste of pepper and salt, he could also use honey for sweet taste, red oil for spicy taste, and black bean sauce mixed with golden and silver garlic for garlic flavor, so he agreed. 4 is 4, but you must learn it within 4 days. 1 day overtime, 1 roast chicken will be reduced. I'll go learn it right away." Long turned around and ran to the wooden house. Long watched her go back with full fighting spirit, thinking to himself that this little fox was really easy to deal with, and a set of combined punches could get it done. No wonder my mother-in-law would rather stay alone for tens of thousands of years than let her go north alone. She would definitely be kidnapped on the way. But, she is so easily deceived, I'm afraid it will be difficult to lead her outside. I have to train her obedience. It doesn't matter if she is deceived by me, a good brother, but if she is deceived by others outside, it will be a headache. Chapter 309. Heading north along the river. Nanlan River is the longest river in Nanyanfuzhou, Donghuang Realm. It originates from Luoyang Mountain in Thongzhou, passes through Shenmu Forest, winds through the interior of Diankang Mountains, and finally flows into the Yellow Sea on the west bank of Nanyanfuzhou. Most merchant fleets that pass through Nanyanfuzhou don't like to pass through Nanlan River. The reason is that it detours too much in Diankang Mountains, and it takes almost 3 times longer than the nearly straight Kulu River in the east. However, due to the recent hostility between the Kalin and Thunao tribes, many sections of Kulu River have been blocked by Kalin, forcing many merchant ships to detour to Nanlan River to transport goods. Long mixed into the merchant ship heading to Thongzhou, and inquired about the current situation of Donghuang Realm with the merchant sailors. Donghuang Realm is a whole continent, divided into 4 states by 2 mountain ranges. Among them, Kanglong controls Dongzhou, Thunao controls Nanzhou, Beru controls Shizhou, and Chuangui controls Bizhou. These 4 races can crush any other race in terms of overall strength, number, or high-level combat power, so they are called the 4 emperors. This nickname was given by Long, because there is no emperor in the demon race, and they are still practicing the feudal system. From a feudal perspective, the 4 major states of the east, west, south and north are almost equivalent to 4 principalities, controlled by the 4 major lords. Within each principality, there are countless city-states of all sizes, ruled by small lords, that is, ordinary demons, under each major lord. The demon clan rules a large area of territory, and then divides it layer by layer to small clans for management. The small clans have the obligation to pay tribute to the big clans and respond to the military, which is surprisingly similar to the Middle Ages in Europe on Earth. In addition to these 4 nobles, there is also that Kaling clan, which has lived in Chilake in the center of the continent for generations. because it has obtained the support of the Kanglong and Kwangui clans, and the verbal submission of the White Tiger clan. The Kaling clan is known as the king of all clans and nominally commands all the demons in the entire Donghuan realm. So, Long, the 4 emperors you mentioned are actually not as good as Kalin, right? In the cabin, the little fox lying on the carpet drew inferences from one example and analyzed. No. Long shook his head and said, according to the description of the sailors on the ship, the Kaling clan is just a slightly larger demon clan. The so-called King of 10,000 Kings is probably just a title specially made up by Kanglong and Kwangui in order to push Kalin to the forefront and wrestle with the Thunao clan in the south. You mean, Kalin needs the title of King of 10,000 Kings to ensure that it can gain benefits from the entire Donghuan realm? Longhu's little brain was also turning quickly, and Kanglong and Kwangui need someone to stand in front of them to withstand the attacks of the Thunao clan. That's right. Long snapped his fingers. I guess there must be a very powerful immortal boss inside the Kaling clan. Cooperation must be based on equal strength. Since the Kaling clan as a whole is not as good as the 4 major clans, it must have an advantage and high in combat power, so as to keep the title of King of 10,000 Kings. A thoughtful look appeared on Longhu's little face, and he suddenly asked, Long, does status have to be based on strength? Of course. Long said. Why? Asked the dragon fox. Because the world is so big, there are all kinds of creatures. Long explained patiently, with different creatures, there will be disagreements and conflicts. When encountering conflicts and disagreements, how do you resolve them? Some hope to talk with rules, and some hope to deal with them with morality. But there must be some creatures who neither want to abide by the rules nor are willing to be bound by morality. They don't want to talk about any reason at all, they just want to use violence to eliminate all disobedience. The only way to solve them is stronger violence, whether they agree or not. As long as they are all killed, there will be no conflict. So, whether it is rules, morality, or anything else, they all have their limitations. Only strength can solve all problems, or more accurately, it can solve the creators of all the problems. Strength is absolutely omnipotent. I see. Long nodded seriously. Then as long as I have enough strength, I can bully you in return, right, Long? That's right. Long also said seriously, as long as you are stronger, you can let me kneel down and call you mother or grandma. As he said that, he suddenly pulled the little fox into his arms and began to stroke its tail. But now I am stronger, so I can bully you. Hurry up and call me good brother. No. The little fox was trembling all over because of his stroking, but she was still stubborn. Go to hell. But her tail felt so good to touch, fluffy, soft, and very big, you can bury your face in it and suck it. Long had to comb her hair every day. Of course, because there was no comb at hand, he could only use his fingers instead. If you call me good brother, spare me, I will let you go. Long smiled. No. The little fox narrowed her eyes. I don't know if it was comfortable or painful, and her 4 little paws spread out weakly, revealing the pink flesh inside, but she cried and shouted, You bully me like this, are you worthy of my mother? Your mother asked you to listen to me, not to let you talk back to me. Long demonstratively put his hand on the base of her tail and threatened, If you don't listen, I will pull your tail off. Woo! The little fox was obviously scared. Because Long had recently learned to her that he had a secret technique that could remove the fox's tail, leaving only a bare butt. Good brother, please forgive me. She cried reluctantly. Ha. Long laughed. Without paying attention, the dragon fox broke free from its restraints, jumped onto her shoulder again, and slapped her face with its tail, then jumped onto the wooden box next to it and disappeared behind that cargo pile. What are you arguing about? The door of the cargo hold was suddenly opened, and a face with deer horns poked out from the crack of the door and shouted, Long, come out to work. Okay. Long stood up immediately. This deer horn man was the owner of this merchant ship, called Zhao. Although he looked a little strange, he was a genuine Xinjian who had formed a demon pill. Long used the condition of helping to work on the merchant ship in exchange for the other party letting him and Long Yu take a boat to the north. He left the dark cargo hold, came to the deck, and began to work with the sailors. Most of the sailors were low-level demons, with the same intelligence as human children. They did physical work like carrying heavy objects and raising and lowering anchors while lying on the bed. They couldn't even steer the ship, so the owner of Giant Horn had to do it himself. Now at Long, at least they can take turns steering the ship, which can save Giant Horn a lot of energy. Long climbed onto the helm and asked casually, Captain, how long would it take to get to the nearest city? It's still 12 miles away from the city of Pritchie. Giant Horn sat down on the side of the ship next to him, took out a wine gourd and started drinking. The city of Pritchie. Long held the steering wheel and said curiously, "That's the language of the bird tribe, and it seems to mean the city of the south wind." Giant Horn replied, "The language of birds is always chirping, and there are many toilets in the city, you'll know when you go there." Chapter 310. Feathered people are one family. The city of Pulaki, called South Wind City in the language of the feathered tribe, was built at the junction of the deep dusk forest and the Diankang Mountains, at the entrance of the Nanlan River. The demon family that ruled here was called Ruru, which means blue in the language of the feathered tribe, and its original form is a bluebird. Long skillfully turned the steering wheel and allowed the ship to stop steadily at the port berth. Captain Chuchao stood up and shouted, "I'm going out for a while. All of you stay in the cabin. Whoever dares to get off the ship without my order, I will make him clean the deck for a month." So the sailors ran back to the deck in fear. Long knew that the captain knew that the little demons had no brains and was afraid that they would cause trouble in the city, so he smiled and said, "Captain, can I get off the ship? I'm going to go through the customs clearance procedures." Captain Chuchao said concisely, "I'll be back after I'm done, and I won't wait for anyone." "Okay." Long quickly agreed. The so-called customs clearance procedures are to go through the procedures for ships to pass through the next section of the river in the city. The most important thing is to pay the toll, and the second is to let the port officials check whether there are any prohibited goods. Of course, if the toll is enough, this step can be skipped. Long didn't know the extent of corruption in Nanfeng City, but he knew that Captain Chuchao was a very stingy deer demon. There was not even blood food for the little demons on the ship, because they can fast. Even if it was to fight for a 1% tariff discount, the captain would talk to the officials. Therefore, he put the little fox in his sleeve and got off the boat silently. When he came to a hidden corner of a building, Long shook his sleeves, and the little fox jumped out impatiently, rolled on the ground, and turned into a cute and lovely girl. "I want to eat delicious food and play fun things." She put her hands on her hips and ordered Long, "Take me there quickly." "Do you think you were a lady?" Long was amused by her demeanor. "Miss, she didn't dare to talk to me like that." I don't care. Long hugged his arm and said aggrievedly, "I've been bored on the boat for several days. There's no roast chicken or roast fish. My mouth is almost growing grass." "What does it mean to have grass growing in the mouth?" Long couldn't resist her coquetry, so he could only agree helplessly. Okay, how about we go to the restaurant to eat?" "Okay." Long raised her hand coquettishly, "I want to eat local specialties." After finding a restaurant nearby, Long took Long to the second floor and sat down by the window. Long picked up the menu impatiently and muttered, "Roast chicken, roast chicken, roast chicken, roast chicken, Long." She suddenly pouted angrily, raised the menu and said, "There's no roast chicken on it." "Ah?" Long took the menu and looked carefully. Sure enough, there was no chicken, duck or meat on the entire menu. Thinking about it carefully, it seems to make sense. After all, this Nanfeng City is opened by a bird demon. Then how about we order a steamed fish? Long changed the subject and asked, "And a white baked cauliflower?" Long's upper body was lying on the table, his expression was listless, and he didn't want to talk. "Don't think about your roast chicken," Long said with a smile, "you're already fasting, and you're still picky about food. Lunch without roast chicken is soulless," Long said weakly. Long smiled without saying anything, called the waiter, and ordered a few dishes. This Nanfeng City is indeed a city of feathered people. Even the waiters are bird monsters. They have big eyes, seem to be owls, no eyelids, and their hair is all fine and delicate hair that is unique to birds. They have typical physical characteristics that have not yet transformed. They also chirp when they speak. "Dear guest, please circle what you want to order on the menu." "I'm afraid I'll miss your dishes because I don't have a good memory." Well, before the monster beasts have formed a pill, their intelligence is not yet developed, so it's normal to be a little stupid. It's really unfair for you to be a waiter. Long circled the menu and asked the waiter to take it away. Suddenly, he heard a shrill voice from downstairs. "Routine inspection, your restaurant does not sell chicken, duck or other poultry meat." "Oh, please come in, sirs." The waiter's voice soon rang out, "We have fish, pork, beef and mutton in our restaurant, but absolutely no poultry meat. All feathered people in the world are one family. It's good that you know." The shrill voice said, "Let's go to the second floor to have a look." Soon, two demon monks came up the stairs. Long Long could see clearly that these two people were clearly feathered monks who had transformed, and they were wearing colorful clothes, as if phoenix. It's not a phoenix, Kunlun Mirror said in his mind, but a genus of a yuan bird with phoenix bloodliner. In terms of bloodliner rank, the purity is not even as good as your junior sister Zhu. The two yuan bird monks swept their eyes across the entire second floor and suddenly fell on Long Long's table. The reason was simple. All the guests at the other tables were from the feathered tribe. Only Long Long and Long Yu had no feathers on their bodies, which really stood out among the flock of birds. "What race are you two?" one of the monks came over and asked. His tone was relatively gentle, but his eyes were cold, like an eagle. The dragon fox was a little timid and moved to the edge of the windowsill. Long Long raised his wine glass and said with a smile, "My lords, we have not violated any law or done anything wrong. Is there something you want to interrogate us about?" Another yuan bird monk said with a fake smile, "It's just a routine inspection. Now that Nanzhao and Thongzhao are in an all-out war, we need to thoroughly investigate all the guests coming and going in the city to prevent spies from killing among them. If your bloodliner is from the home tribe, such as deer, cattle, sheep, etc., please take the initiative to come with us and cooperate with the relevant investigation. If you conceal it, we have the power to kill you on the spot. You'd better not hold on to luck and tell the truth." "I see," Long Long said slowly. "I am from the snake tribe, she is from the fox tribe, neither of us is from the home tribe. Please show your true identity to prove it." The monk refused to leave, but continued. Long Long hesitated for a moment, first gave Long Yu a look, then put his hand on the table and slightly operated the secret art of transformation. Countless fine scales suddenly appeared on the back of his hand, the snake scales unique to water vipers. "It is definitely the scale family." The two yuan bird monks nodded, and their expressions seemed to relax a little, and they looked at Long Yu across the table. Long Yu bit her lip, and suddenly a furry foxtail emerged from under her skirt. "In that case, I won't bother you anymore." After verifying the identities of the two monks, the two yuan bird monks looked at each other for a moment, and finally turned and left. Seeing the two monks going downstairs, Long was obviously relieved, but he only heard Long Long say, "Let's go." "Ah?" Long asked in surprise, "But the food hasn't come up yet." "It's too late, let's go." Long quickly grabbed his hand, took 2 steps at a time and came to the stairs. Seeing the two yuan bird monks enter the kitchen, he hurriedly pulled Long downstairs. The two had just rushed out of the restaurant when they suddenly saw a dense mass of shadows passing by on the street. Looking up, they saw more than a dozen giant birds flying in the sky, with wings spread out to be several miles long, almost covering the sky and the sun. Just by looking at them, Long and Long Yu felt a sense of vigilance from the bottom of their hearts, as if they had seen a natural enemy. That was, the Golden Winged Roc, the mortal enemy of the Dragon Clan. Around the Golden Winged Roc, countless feathered demon cultivators were circling and guarding it, and it flew towards the north in a mighty manner. Chapter 311. Persistent Character Quick Brushing Strategy. Long. The little fox had already started to tremble. "Are they here to catch us?" "Of course not." Long took Long Yu's hand and quickly rushed to a nearby cloth shop. The two bought traditional clothes with feather characteristics in the cloth shop, which were embroidered with various colorful flower and bird patterns. Long also bought 2 bamboo hats to block the sun and dust. The edges of the hats were covered with translucent veils made of fluff, which could make the faces behind them vaguely visible. The two left the cloth shop and continued to move forward. Long keenly noticed that Long deliberately avoided the main road and went into some alleys. Moreover, the direction of the two people's movement was deliberately opposite to the location of the ship port. Long. She screamed in fear, and then asked in a low voice, "Who is chasing us? We must leave this city as soon as possible." Long answered irrelevantly. However, Long understood. The one chasing them was not the feather army that covered the sky and the sun, but the Bluebird clan that ruled this city. Thinking about the questioning and attitude of the two monks in the restaurant, Long finally thought of the key. The captain of the merchant ship with giant horns is a deer tribe with horns. With the other party's appearance that he didn't even disguise his horns, he might have been noticed by the feather tribe monks in the city before he took a few steps in the city. By then, all the sailors on the ship will be arrested and questioned. Not to mention, the two of them boarded the ship halfway, and no matter from which angle, they are the most suspicious type. Once you went to the prison, your life and death are in the hands of others, no matter if you were a spy or not. As soon as the two of them left Nanfeng City, several feather monks came out of the city lord's mansion and circled over the city to search for suspicious monks. Another team of feather monks rushed to the 4 city gates. After confirming that 2 people, one tall and one short, wearing hats and veils, had left the North Gate not long ago and entered the distant deep dusk woodland, the team of feather clan monks did not dare to neglect it. They quickly sent one monk back to report the news, and the rest spread their wings and flew towards the deep dusk woodland. In the underground water prison of the city lord's mansion, the humanoid captain of the deer demon had been tied to a stone pillar with an iron chain through his scapula to be tortured. Although we feather clan talk a lot, we never show mercy when doing things. The city lord of Ninfing City is a middle-aged female feather clan. She stretched out her palm like a dry claw and grasped the head of the deer demon in her palm. I'll give you another chance. Tell me the whereabouts of Prince Kalin. I don't know. Captain Giant Horn roared in despair. I don't know. Hectares. The city lord hummed. Her voice was like sobbing and complaining, and it drilled into Captain Giant Horn's ears, just like an all stirring in his mind. The captain of the deer demon, who could not bear the demonic sound, soon rolled his eyes and fainted, limped like mud. The city lord calmly retracted his claws, thinking that although the Horn clan had thick skin and flesh, their resistance to sound spells was pitiful. What spell should I use next to test? She was distracted and thinking, when suddenly a feather clan monk hurried in and whispered a few words in her face. A 16 or 17-year-old Snape clan boy and a 13 or 14-year-old Fox clan girl. The city lord was slightly startled, and then sneered. The Kaling prince they were looking for was a boy of about 8 or 9 years old, accompanied by an old man. Although he did not match the appearance of these 2 people, most Fox clan girls were petite, and it was not difficult for the Kaling prince to disguise himself with illusion. As for the Snape clan boy, he had a clear plan when dealing with the monk's interrogation, and immediately realized the danger afterwards, and quickly fled with his companions in disguise. How could he be compared with ordinary demons? It is very likely that he is the old man next to the Kaling prince. Let the feather hunting team go. She immediately gave a cold order. Soon, the elite monks of the Bluebird clan took off from Ninfing City and headed straight for the deep dusk woodland in the north. Long Long took the dragon fox and shuttled through the forest for several days. He immediately knew why this place was called Deep Dusk Woodland. The forest here was so dense that the visibility in the forest was dim. It was like dusk during the day and it was pitch dark at night. Fortunately, he had gone deep into the jungle of southern Xinjiang several times and was very familiar with hiking in similar environments, so he did not feel any discomfort. From time to time, strange sounds came from the sky above his head. It seemed that there were feather clan monks flying quickly from the air. At this time, the originally dense canopy above the head that blocked the light became the best natural cover for the 2. Since the dragon fox began to flee, the whole fox was so scared that it didn't even dare to maintain its transformed state. Instead, it returned to the appearance of a little fox and shrank in Long Long's arms and trembled. Long Long could only touch her fur from time to time to calm the little fox down, and he was also complaining in his heart. He had read a lot of books in Gaiku Palace, and he also knew that the difficulty of the demon race's transformation tribulation was actually higher than the human race's Jindan tribulation. But the problem was, there were too many demons. Flowers, trees, birds and beasts all had the opportunity to swallow the essence of the sun and the moon and become demon beasts. This was a huge number that could make people's eyes drop. With this base number, even if the transformation tribulation was difficult, the overall number of demon race Jindan that could be cultivated was much greater than the human race's Jindan cultivators. A small force like Ninfing City could easily pull out 20 to 30 transformation cultivators, leaving Long Long with no courage to fight against them. Forget it, I'm tired, let's run away. He found a giant tree nearby, dug a hole in the trunk with the long sword, and then took the little fox in to rest for a while. This dragon fox is really useless. My brother ran with her so steadily, and her body was shaking so much. What is there to be afraid of? I don't understand. I really want to punch her. Long Long, Long Long. Seeing that he was motionless, the little fox cried out in a sobbing voice, "What's wrong with you? You won't die." Her tears fell down, and Long Long was so scared that he hurriedly wiped her tears. "I'm fine, what's wrong with you?" I remember the little fox scrapped his shoulders with both claws and sobbed. "My mother was like this at the beginning. She was seriously injured and there was a lot of blood, and she took me and ran in the woods for a long time. Then she took me to a cave, and then she held me and didn't move." Long Long covered his mouth with a complicated expression and didn't answer. He finally knew why that dragon fox's mother was hunted down that year, and had to take the dragon fox to run to the bottom of the Nanlan River, and died in the cave. No wonder Dragon Fox had such a strong fear of being taken away by others. Don't be afraid. He whispered, "I'm not hurt. Have you forgotten? I promised your mother that I would take you to the North Sea Neverland." These words seemed to have magical power, so that the little fox immediately stopped sobbing and said with a trembling voice, "Mom said, lying is wrong, so you didn't lie to me, right?" Long. I thought so. My dragon fox is so smart, how come he is easily deceived? It turns out that my mother-in-law didn't teach him well. What do you mean that because lying is wrong, others can't lie to her? Funny. Haven't you heard of what white lies are? What is art of expression? What is necessary evil? I didn't lie to you. Long hugged the tearful little fox and said seriously, "You won't abandon me, will you?" The little fox asked in a trembling voice. "Well, I will never leave you," Long said solemnly. Persistent character setting, synchronization value +1. Persistent character setting, synchronization value +1. Persistent character setting, synchronization value +1. The long-lost reminder sound of the synchronization value rising suddenly rang in my ears. Chapter 312. I won't hold back. We found him. The enemy is moving very fast. Hold on tight. 3 teams will flank them, and 2 teams will attack from the air. Countless shouts rang out from all directions, with a kind of bewitching psychedelic meaning that made people feel desperate. Long and the dragon fox shuttled quickly through the forest, followed by the feathered monks who were chasing them relentlessly. These feathered monks seemed to be a special force specializing in hunting, and each of them was a true lord of the transformation stage. Not only were they strong in actual combat capabilities, but they also had the ability to sense and lock onto the enemy. During the pursuit, they would also use some kind of sound illusion, so that Long did not want to fight with them at first, but just ran away at full speed. However, after running away for several days in a row, the poor dragon fox was tortured by the illusion and curled up into a small ball of fur in his arms. Long's patience had been exhausted, and the killing intent gradually rose from the bottom of his heart. Well, think about it carefully, the Donghuan realm and the human world are basically not interoperable, so even if Long uses the methods of Qiu Cheng Tian, Ling Yunpo, Luo Yan and Wei Dongliu, there seems to be no risk of identity disclosure. Even if there are demons that can travel between the 2 realms by some means, for example, Long highly suspects the group of cultivators of Donghuangdo, then I just need to kill all the demons who have seen my methods to silence them, can't I avoid leaking the news? There is no other way, only to kill. The killing thought came with the cold blood of the dragon clan, spreading from the spine to the limbs. There was a sudden rustling in the tree canopy above his head, and a feather clan cultivator of the transformation stage fell from the sky, waving his claws in the air, and 3 claw-like auras whistled out, rushing straight to Long's crown. Long raised his head suddenly, and his golden vertical pupils were like the scorching sun breaking through the clouds, and instantly met the sight of the feather clan cultivator. Pressure. The terrifying pressure frightened the soul of the feather clan monk, who seemed to be frightened, and then suddenly came back to his senses. The gap in rank was too big. As soon as Long Wei blasted into the sea of consciousness, it was dispersed by the abundant true essence of the transformation clan monk. However, taking advantage of the other party's moment of distraction, Long had already condensed a white light in his palm, and then pressed it directly on the other party's forehead. When the white lightning touched the head of the feather clan monk, the monk's expression froze instantly, and his body fell backwards to the ground. Shengxiao Thunder has a strong ability to destroy life, and has a special killing power against demons. 3 more feather clan monks took the opportunity to attack from behind. If Long had just tried to retreat and dodge the attack from the sky, he would immediately fall into the dilemma of being attacked from the front and back. Long heard the wind behind him and realized something was wrong. He hugged the little fox tightly with his left hand, and squeezed his right fist hard, and 5-colored divine light poured out from between his fingers, like a thread attacking behind him. The brilliant light was like a tide, instantly drowning the 3 feather clan monks. In the distance, a team of feather clan monks who were trying to outflank from the side suddenly screamed, "Team 2 is all dead. Calm down." The leading monk immediately said coldly, "It is not possible for ordinary transformed monks to destroy Team 2 in an instant. The opponent must be a great demon. Rookie, you immediately send a message to inform the city lord and ask the demon king to take action." "Yes." The feather clan monk named Rookie immediately jumped back flexibly, turned into a blue hummingbird in the air, and flew rapidly towards the south of the forest. Long wiped out 4 feather clan true lords with just a wave of his hand, and he was secretly relieved. Now he is a typical spear stronger than shield. Whether it is the Shnk South Under that specifically defeats the demon clan, or the Xianfei level acquired 5 elements Great Extinction Divine Light, they are all Taoist magical powers that can easily cross levels to kill transformed demons. Of course, he hadn't yet formed a golden elixir, so any means of self-defense were almost useless, and he couldn't stop the opponent's attack at all. If he was hit or grabbed by the true lord of the Feathered Clan, his limbs would be broken and his soul would be scattered. Fortunately, the demon cultivators have a bad habit. They prefer to use their bodies and bloodline as supernatural powers to attack rather than flying swords and magic weapons. In this way, Long Long can rely on his eyesight and reaction speed, which he has trained with Senior Sister and for many years, to move around and dodge with the opponent. If it were a human sword immortal of the same level, he would have been killed by the opponent in seconds with his golden elixir cultivation to drive the flying sword. Long Long hugged the little fox and continued to rush forward. The dragon fox poked half of its head out of his arms and looked around in surprise. She was curled up in Long Long's arms and shivering just now, and suddenly she only felt a huge amount of true energy burst out of his body. And then, nothing happened. When Long Hu poked his head out to look, he found that not only the Yu clan monks who were chasing him had disappeared, but also the shouts and calls for killing that had been coming from all around him had magically disappeared. She was stunned for a long time, and suddenly shouted, "Long Long, you are so powerful. Do you know how powerful my good brother is?" Long Long said with a smile. "Good brother, you are so powerful." Long Hu was also very happy, so she said sweetly and rubbed his chin with her little head. Long Long felt that his heart was blooming, but he quickly suppressed the beauty in his heart with the rationality of a gentleman. After walking forward for another quarter of an hour, he suddenly felt something was wrong. "Well, where are the pursuers? You must have scared them away," Long Hu said innocently. "This is wrong." Long Long thought quickly for a moment, and suddenly said, "Long Hu, hold me tight." "Ah?" Long Hu hadn't reacted yet, and so Long Long suddenly hugged her and rushed out of the woods, jumped off the high cliff, and fell into the rushing mountain stream at the bottom. The two were swept by the raging river and rolled eastward, much faster than trekking in the forest. It was just more tiring. After about half an hour, a Feather Clan monk flew over with a sword. His might was as great as that of a human Yuning monk. He was a high-ranking elder of the Bluebird clan. He suddenly grabbed the sword light in the air and swept the jungle below again. I still couldn't find the other party. Did he escape my spiritual sense through the secret treasure? Or did he accidentally enter some secret realm? Or was he taken away by someone on the way? Humph, he is worthy at being the 8th Prince of Kalin, and he is really surrounded by talents. If the intelligence shows that this is correct, the old man should be Long Kaiani with the Kanglong clan, a very annoying and nosy guy. If I can get evidence that the other party is protecting the 8th Prince of Kalin, I can use it to force Kanglong to give in and compromise, but I think the chance is slim. Elder Bluebird thought so, and then he gently pinched a handful of fluff from his head and threw it away. Each strand of fluff instantly turned into a bluebird. The flock of birds circled around Elder Bluebird for a moment, then fell into the forest below like a torrential rain, spreading out in all directions, and began to search for the two people's traces. Chapter 313. Storm in the Kulu River. Long Long suddenly emerged from the water and shook her white long hair. The dragon fox in the form of a girl also emerged from the water and shook her white golden hair, throwing all the water on Long Long's face. Long Long. The dragon fox giggled and suddenly screamed again, and was pressed back into the water by Long Long. Woo-ow! The dragon fox rushed out of the water again, and was furious, punching and kicking at Long Long. Although with her petite body and strength, it was more like tickling Long Long. The two played in the water for a while, and then swam towards the east bank. Although the Kulu River is not as long as the Nanlan River, it is wider, with a smaller bend and a slower flow rate. No wonder most merchant ships prefer to go through the Kulu River. Long Long swam with the dragon fox for a while, and saw a big fish suddenly approaching from the right. No, it's not an ordinary fish, but a fish monster. If a beast can inhale and exhale the essence of the sun and the moon and enter the ki-inducing stage, equivalent to the ki-refining stage of the human race, it will automatically be promoted to a demon beast and possess some childlike, ignorant intelligence. If it goes one step further and reaches the bone-expanding stage, equivalent to the marrow-washing stage of the human race, it will be able to initially shape the skeleton of the whole body, the throat bone will be dissolved and it can speak human words, and the leg bones will be thick and it can stand like a human, but it will still retain some characteristics of the original body. The human race calls demon beasts of this level little demons. Generally speaking, demon beasts at most eat passers-by, and their threat is no greater than that of ordinary beasts, but little demons have the risk of harming others. At this time, the one approaching Long and Long was such a fish demon. It still retains fish organs such as gills, fins, and scales. Judging from the color and pattern, it probably belongs to a carp. It has 2 long whiskers and came over and smiled attentively. Why are you 2 swimming in your flesh? Do you want to try our fish tribe's treasure ship? Treasure ship? Long was puzzled. Can't you fish swim? Where did the ship come from? 2 crystals for 1. The carp demon said quickly, 3 crystals are charged upstream. Long was stunned for a long time before he realized that the 2 crystals the other party was talking about were the common currency of the Eastern Empire realm, the moon crystal stone. This thing is almost equivalent to the spiritual stone in the human cultivation world. It contains the power of moonlight and can be used to assist cultivation. Therefore, it is a naturally valuable currency. The price of 2 crystals for 1 is not expensive. When ordering food at a restaurant in Nanfeng City, these 2 crystals can only be regarded as a small reward for the waiter. So Long took out 4 pieces of moon crystal from his storage bag and said, "Let me see what treasure ship it is." Okay. The carp demon took the pieces and immediately shouted, "Little men, get the 2 guests on board." Suddenly, a raft floated up from the bottom of the river, and 4 small carps approached the surface of the river, biting the rope woven from water plants, the other end of which was connected to the raft. Long. It's just like being solicited for a black car after leaving the train station, only to find out that it was a motorcycle when you arrived at the destination. Although there is nothing unreasonable when you think about it carefully, I don't know why it still feels a bit strange. Long pulled Long onto the raft. The carp demon shouted, and the 4 small carps exerted their strength together, dragging the raft forward quickly. Long looked closely and found that the speed was not slow. The 4 fish demons pulled it like riding the wind and waves. Long was a little surprised. It was probably her first time to take a boat. She was so happy to see the broken water and waves around the raft that she shouted excitedly. Long held the little Longu in his arms on the grounds of be careful not to fall off. She slowly calmed down, but her eyes were rolling around, looking left and right, and her ears were shaking. Arriving at the river bank, Long took Long down the port and walked towards the nearest city. At the same time, Yuan, who was honored as the Lord of all monsters and King of all the monsters, also arrived at Jiasheng City of the Black Turtle Clan in Bizhou accompanied by his personal guards. Yuan, the contemporary patriarch of the Cunning clan, is also the nominal supreme ruler of the entire Donghuan realm. From the appearance, he is a strong middle-aged man with gorgeous deer antlers on his head, wearing a yellow brocade robe, and a gloomy expression. He was greeted by Gian, the patriarch of the Black Turtle clan. He looked like a white-haired old man, but his actual age was much older than Yuan. "Is there any news about the remnants of the Jialong?" As soon as he entered the main hall of the Black Turtle clan, Yuan dismissed his left and right and asked in a deep voice. "We haven't found the entrance to the Beiming Netherland yet," Gian said slowly. "Is the Kanglong unwilling to cooperate?" Yuan asked with a frown. "Your Majesty." Gian sighed and said, "Kanglong is a dragon, Jialong is also a dragon." Yuan stared at him straight, as if trying to tell whether he was telling the truth or just trying to sow discord. Although their ancestors were both dragons, the Kanglong and Jialong were considered to be 2 different demon races because of their different regions. The former lived in the East China Sea and the latter lived in the North China Sea. As early as more than 100,000 years ago, when the Cunning clan had not yet come to power, the power of the Jialong clan had reached its peak, and a powerful and ambitious Yinglong king emerged, which made other demon races tremble with fear and unable to breathe. Later, for some unknown reason, the Yinglong king suddenly asked to marry a fox girl from King Qiu, Shizhou. It just so happened that the mother of the fox girl was a demon sinner that everyone kept secret. In short, it almost caused a huge wave of opposition in the East Empire realm, and even many dragons in the Jialong clan had deep criticisms about it. In order to suppress the opposition within the clan and even the entire Donghuan realm, King Yinglong contacted the Qingqia clan to use secret methods to open a temporary passage to the human world and gain enough prestige through the victory of the expeditionary army. As a result, the expedition failed, and Yinglong was trapped in the human world and could not return. As a result, the Jialong clan declined from its peak and never recovered. It lost all its sphere of influence on the continent and was forced to move the entire clan to the depths of the Beiming Fanyan, which is the secret realm known as the Beiming Yujing. And it was the Cunning clan, which was supported by the Black Turtle and the Kanglong, that drove the Jeerlong clan out of the continent. To this day, Guan naturally does not intend to give up the pursuit of the Jeerlong clan. After all, the two clans have formed a deep hatred. If the Jeerlong clan makes a comeback, the Cunning clan will inevitably be in great trouble. I know, he said solemnly. I will ask Kanglong to withdraw the search team, and you can send someone to take over. Thank you, Your Majesty, Guan said lightly, his mind slightly turned. In this way, Kanglong's plan to get involved in beiming Fanyan was thwarted. But since I've handed it over to you, Guan suddenly lowered his voice, and the pressure emanated from his huge body unscrupulously, then I don't want to see any dragons in the Bizarre Warrior one day in the future. Guan was silent for a moment, and then slowly smiled. Your Majesty, don't worry. From now on, no dragon will be able to enter beiming Fanyan alive. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 314 Daily Life in Kunlun. Arriving at the small town on the river bank, Long began to read the game after settling the Dragon Fox. If he continued to spend time with the little fox, he would almost forget all the character plots of the other lines. Target: Kunlun. Point 1. Kunlun Tai King Sect, Jin Line. Character Identity: Kyo Chains Iron. Mirror Flower Water Moon template overwritten, in the process of time and space shuttle. Kyo Chains Iron left the cave, only to see the clear sky, snow-capped peaks, and the scenery was unique. Several cranes spread their wings and flew through the clouds, making long calls, like Wang's Thong De Lu, deafening. Kunlun Mountains are worthy at being a holy place for cultivating immortals. Staying here for a day or half a day, I feel that my soul will be purified. Kyo Chains Iron was thinking peacefully, and saw several sword lights cutting through the sky and rushing towards the east. Well, Kunlun seems to be in a state of war readiness recently. Seeing that his fellow disciples were not in the cave, Kyo Chains Iron flew up on his sword and went to visit King Yansenrun's Zhu Chain King. When he arrived at Zhu Chain King's cave, Kyo Chains Iron saw King Yansenrun sitting on the stone platform. Zhu Yinglyan and several other Kunlun monks from the Tian and Zhu family were scattered in that cave at this time, and everyone had a serious expression. Brother. Seeing Kyo Chains Iron enter the cave, Zhu Yinglyan hurriedly called him over and sat next to him. Chains Iron is here too. King Yansenrun sighed. But it's not convenient. Then I'll come later. Kyo Chains Iron said with a smile. After all, judging from the identities of the people present, it is clear that they are Kunlun Zhu family's internal relatives and friends group. Now that you and Yinglyan have become a Taoist couple, you are also considered a part of my Zhu family. King Yansenrun paused for a moment and said, stay and listen for a while. Then, he continued to talk about the previous topic. Kyo Chains Iron listened carefully and knew that Kunlun Tai King Sect was currently at war with the Yingido at Beiman Mountain. The average quality of Kunlun monks is much higher than that of Yingido monks. According to the statistical intelligence of Tian and Zhu family, the casualty ratio of Kunlun and Yingido in the conflict is generally maintained at about 1:8. However, Kunlun Tai King Sect would rather have fewer disciples than fewer disciples, and recruits a batch of disciples every 30 years, about a few hundred people. Yingido is not so particular. Basically, all those who can pass the 3 levels of fasting are accepted, and the powerful ones are selected to be selected into the judge team for key training, and the rest are basically left alone. Even if the casualty ratio is 1:8, Yingido can not only bear it, but is even keen to continue to exchange of this ratio. The Yingido monks who are used to involution also use all kinds of sinister and cruel means, and each of them is fearless, all for the sake of the elixir magic weapon on the Kunlun monks. Sometimes, there was even a situation where a lone Kunlun monk was ambushed by 3 or 4 waves of Yingido monks in succession, and his true essence was squandered alive. The Tian and Zhu family was extremely worried about this, so they held an internal meeting and asked the monks in the family to go out as little as possible recently. Even if they go out, they should not go directly east to Gyeon's Thong route, but go south to the Plateau Warrior first, detour to Bashu and then into the Central Plains, so as not to be ambushed by Yingido monks. Kyo Chains Iron was also speechless when he heard it. It was strange that the Kunlun Tai King Sect, the leader of the 3 pure ones, could not do anything to the small Yingido. However, he was not completely ignorant of the demon sect after all. He also knew that although the Ingido claimed to be stationed in Baymen Mounting, in fact, it was unknown how many times it had been swept by the Kumlan elders, and the location of the other party's lair had never been truly discovered. The reason was also very simple. According to Wen Yang, the real location of the Ingido was said to be deep underground in Baymen Mounting. It could only be entered and exited with a unique secret method, so it would be strange if the Kumlan monks could find it. After the meeting, Qiu Changtian was left alone again and chatted with King Yangxinren. King Yangxinren specifically told him that because you broke the Jirijiao sword formation in the East China Sea before, now they are much more afraid of you. Qiu Changtian was speechless. My invincible character must be brushed up with synchronization value. The more I brush, the more the demon cult will be afraid of me, and the more they will try to trip me up. In the final analysis, it's still not strong enough. If I could be as powerful as Ziwide's headmaster, so that the demon cult can't find anyone willing to target him, wouldn't it be fine? Seeing that Qiu Changtian seemed a little depressed, King Yangxinren changed his words and said, however, since the last Jirijiao Huxian sword formation was broken, most of the demon cultivators who have never seen you basically know that you're powerful. As long as you don't shout it out to everyone in the city when you go out, so that those Union cultivators find an opportunity to ambush you, it doesn't matter much. Qiu Changtian laughed and nodded. He knew that the attitude and position of the Zhu family in Tianan were completely different from that of the headmaster Ziwei. The headmaster Ziwei knew that he had already achieved the second-grade golden elixir, so he hoped that he would stay in the Jinlan cave mansion forever and not go out, and directly survive for more than 100 years to form the golden elixir. As long as he could become a golden elixir master, with the many Thumbum methods he mastered, he would definitely become an important fighting force in Kumlin. The Zhu family in Tianan hoped that this son-in-law of the Zhu family would go out and make a name for himself, so that the Zhu family could gain corresponding political prestige. The two strategies, the former is conservative and the latter is radical. In fact, it is not a matter of which is better or worse. Qiu Changtian still has to make rational judgments and choices based on his actual situation. When he left the cave, he saw Zhu Yingyan standing at the door waiting for him. Today, junior sister Zhu was still wrapped in the plain white Taoist robe, with long black hair draped over her shoulders. From head to toe, let alone makeup, she didn't even have a hairpin. My Zhu Yingyan is like this. She never bothered to study makeup or beauty. She already had a 12-point appearance without a face. Note: the full score is 10. Brother. Zhu Yingyan nodded slightly and said, grandfather told you about the bounty, right? Yes. Qiu Changtian did not deny it. From what I see. Zhu Yingyan said coldly, brother, you can observe what the demon sect's subsequent reaction is. If they greatly increase the bounty for you, then you don't have to worry too much. As grandfather said, now that the righteous and the evil have gone to war, the demon sect is short of high-end combat power and it is impossible for them to keep an eye on you who haven't formed a pill every day. As long as you don't spread your whereabouts. That's true. Qiu Changtian nodded in agreement. But if they don't increase the bounty, but keep it a secret about the breaking of the Jiri sect sword formation, then you should be careful. Zhu Yingyan continued. Junior sister, what do you mean? Qiu Changtian pondered for a moment and asked, real or false? That's right. Zhu Yingyan said seriously, not publicly raising the reward does not mean that there is no other wanted notice in private. If the demon cult really wants to get rid of senior brother, instead of just expressing a hostile attitude through the reward, then choosing to lie dormant temporarily to paralyze Kumlan is a strategy that the demon cult is more likely to adopt. Thank you for your concern, junior sister. Qiu Changtian smiled gently. Yeah. Zhu Yingyan felt a little embarrassed for no reason, but still did not reveal any flaws on his face, just said coldly, Grandpa's meaning, that is, the attitude of our Zhu family, I think it's a bit too hasty. But I think senior brother has his own judgment in this regard, so I don't need to say too much, junior sister. Qiu Changtian suddenly clapped his hands and said, I have something that I need to listen to junior sister's opinion seriously. What is it? Zhu Yingyan opened his eyes in confusion. Since we have become Taoist companions, shouldn't we live together and take care of each other in daily life? Qiu Changtian said gently, regarding the layout of the residence after living together, I would like to ask junior sister what you think. I still have an alchemy furnace in my cave. Zhu Yingyan couldn't bear this, and immediately found an excuse to turn around and run away. Let's talk about it next time. Let's talk about it next time. Junior sister, don't leave. Qiu Changtai naturally didn't want to let her go. Senior brother also knows a little about alchemy, so he can help junior sister. This matter has been mentioned several times, and there must be an answer today. Chapter 315 Return to Longshan Jinling, Qiu Changtai's Cave. Now it should be called the Cave of Qiu Changtai and his wife, because junior sister's youth finally moved here. The cranes that lingered at her door also moved to the door of Qiu Changtai's cave. Every morning when no one fed them, they would make long crane calls, just like the readers who urged them to update. The stone bed was enlarged by magic, and now it can allow two people to meditate and refine ki at the same time. Apart from that, there seems to be no greater change. It is common for people who practice Taoism to retain their primordial yang and primordial yin even if they become Taoist couples. If they can get the dual cultivation method, Taoist bedroom techniques, etc. They may study how to make yin and yang harmonious. Or one day, the relationship is suddenly close enough, and it will come naturally, and they want to leave offspring, and some things will happen naturally. But at least until now, junior sister's Yu has no intention of that. Qiu Changtai closed his eyes and refined ki on the stone bed, whilst Yu Ying cleaned the cave from top to bottom, inside and outside with magic. She didn't have a serious obsession with cleanliness, but she had some mild obsession with storage. For example, the flying sword must be hung on the wall, the gaps between the pill bottles must be equal and symmetrical, and a screen must be set up at the entrance of the cave. Qiu Changtai didn't know what the meaning of this was. He could only say that she was worthy at being the eldest daughter of a cultivation family, and she was particular about her daily life. "Why are you looking at me like that?" As if she noticed his gaze, Zhu Yingyan suddenly turned her head and asked. Ahem. Qiu Changtai coughed and said, "I didn't expect that my junior sister has such a serious and meticulous side. In the eyes of my senior brother, my junior sister who never knows how high the sky is and how deep the earth is, and who makes trouble unreasonably because she can't compare with my senior brother." Zhu Yingyan asked with a frown. "What are you talking about, junior sister?" Qiu Changtai laughed. "My senior brother likes my junior sister's spirit of fighting again and being high-spirited and unyielding." Zhu Yingyan was delighted to hear this, but then felt something was wrong. Fighting again and again, oh? So in the eyes of my senior brother, I'm just a poor junior sister. Thinking of this, a crisp sound suddenly came from his hand. Zhu Yingyan looked at it expressionlessly, and saw that the bottle in his hand was somehow crushed by an external force. Qiu Changtai. He didn't know why, but he felt a chill on his back. Just as he was about to speak, he saw a stream of light flying into the cave, and it turned out to be a paper crane, which fell into Zhu Yingyan's palm. Zhu Yingyan silently unfolded the paper crane, looked at it for a moment, and said, "Junior Sister Jian's request for help. What's wrong?" Qiu Changtai asked seriously. "Do you remember the underground ruins on the west side of Longshan?" Zhu Yingyan said briefly. Qiu Changtai was slightly startled, but he remembered it immediately. When he was still in the key refining stage, he was entrusted by an outer disciple to lead a team to explore the earth veins on the west side of Longshan. As a result, they found the ancient ruins of the Ingido under the earth veins, and they also collided head-on with the monk team led by Wen Yang, and the two sides almost fought. "What is junior sister Jian doing there?" he asked seriously. "After the sect and the Ingido went to war, some real people went there to explore." Zhu Yingyan replied, "It turned out that the underground ruins were so large that they almost exceeded our original estimate. Junior Sister Jian teamed up with others to explore the underground ruins. It seemed that she triggered some mechanism and got trapped, so she sent a letter asking me to rescue her." She handed the letter to Qiu Changtai. Qiu Changtai read the content carefully and thought that if the junior sister was really trapped during the exploration of the ruins, it would not be impossible to rescue her. But, could it be a trap? He doubted this in his heart, but said, "Junior sister, I will go with you. You can't be timid with an invincible character. Otherwise, if the junior sister is really trapped and you hesitate to move forward, the synchronization value will be lost. I have some doubts." Zhu Yingyan was not so worried and said frankly, "If she was really trapped by the mechanism, why could this communication technique be unimpeded and reach my hands? Is there a possibility of a trap here?" Qiu Changtai secretly applauded in his heart and smiled. "It is possible. So junior sister, you must be careful and pay attention. Don't rush into the ruins. Just follow me closely." Zhu Yingyan thought that this was natural. Just as he was about to nod and agree, he remembered his senior brother's previous statement of fighting again and again after repeated failures. He was immediately furious and sneered. Okay, with your strength, even if there are any risks inside, I think you can ignore them. Junior sister is making a fuss. Kyo changed iron. So how did I offend you? The two of them summoned flying swords from their sleeves and flew rapidly towards Longshan. Arriving at the foot of the west side of Longshan, Kyo changed iron asked Jin to scan the surroundings. There was no ambush, no traps, and no one. He pressed down the sword light and said to Zhu Yingyan, something is wrong. Why is it wrong? Zhu Yingyan frowned and asked. Why is there no one around here? Kyo changed iron pointed to the entrance of the ruins and asked, a ground vein ruins, there is no one guarding it, isn't it strange? Indeed. Zhu Yingyan sighed and said, then should we go back to the sect to report to the master, or go in to save junior sister Jian first? How about junior sister go back to the sect to report to the master, and I will go to save junior sister Jian? Kyo changed iron persuaded her. If there is any trap here, I can let Jin teleport and escape at a critical moment. Junior sister, if you follow me in, it will be a burden. However, although he kept these words in his heart and didn't say them out loud, Zhu Yingyan seemed to see through his thoughts. He immediately raised his right hand, opened his cherry lips, and blew lightly. A stream of fire blew out of her mouth, and turned into a small red bird in her palm. Countless sparks splashed between the flapping of its wings, and it instantly rushed into the air and flew towards the western sky. I have already reported to master. Zhu Yingyan said indifferently, let's go, senior brother. Kyo changed iron was speechless. He couldn't say junior sister, you were a burden, otherwise junior sister's you would definitely divorce him. But he couldn't try to persuade her with reason, because the life-saving mechanism of Kunlun mirror could not be explained. Perhaps in the eyes of the strong-willed junior sister's you, senior brother asked me to go back because he looked down on my strength. I just want to go in with him and help him at the critical moment. Thinking about it this way, it was a big touching, and there was no way to refuse. In that case, junior sister, follow me. Kyo changed iron pulled the jade dragon sword in front of him and said in a deep voice. These words fell into Zhu Yingyan's ears, combined with the invincible illusion temperament. It was like wife, don't hold me back. So Zhu Yingyan smiled coldly and said, then I will cover the back for senior brother. Kyo changed iron performed the universal clear sound small light technique to illuminate the road ahead, and then stepped in carefully. Zhu Yingyan followed behind him and was about to lower his head to step into the cave, but suddenly he raised his head and looked into the depths of the dark cave. It seemed like there was a sound. Chapter 316. Flying Yaksha Longshan Ruins. In the tunnel. A large group of corpse spiders swarmed out of the tunnel with a roar. After a while, they fled back in panic under the burning of the bright fire. With so many corpse spiders, there must be a lot of corpses in the ruins. Zhu Yingyan speculated. Isn't it normal to have corpses in the ruins of the ancient Yinggido? Kyo changed iron didn't care. The Yinggido has two branch factions, one is raising ghosts and the other is refining Ying corpses. This place is probably the station of the Ying corpse sect. The two continued to walk forward and soon arrived at the octagonal palace where the coffin was placed last time, which was where they met Wen Yang and others. The tombs and coffins here had already disappeared, leaving only a large grey earth pit. 8 passages. Kyo changed iron looked at the arches on the surrounding walls and said, except the passage we came from, there are 7 directions left. Is there a way to tell which direction junior sister Jian's letter came from? I'll try. Zhu Yingyan thought for a moment, then spread her palm again and blew gently. The hot breath exhaled, and quickly turned into 7 firebirds in her palm, and flew into the 7 entrances on the surrounding cave walls. After about a quarter of an hour, Zhu Yingyan said, from right to left, the 1st, 3rd, and 5th entrances are not dead ends. Kyo changed iron nodded. Then start from the rightmost entrance. The two chose the rightmost entrance and started to move forward. After walking for a distance, Kyo changed iron felt that the surrounding temperature seemed to be slowly dropping. No, it was not that the coldness deepened, but that the energy became heavier. Brother, be careful. Zhu Yingyan suddenly said, my fire-flowing phoenix was destroyed in front. Yes. Kyo changed iron pinched his hands and held the jade pivot thunder in his palm. Passing through the corridor, I saw that the surrounding blue brick and stone walls suddenly broke, revealing the natural eroded rock layer. It was as if the ruins had stopped here when they were built. The in energy here is too strong. Zhu Yingyan suddenly said, could it be that the front leads to the 9 Netherworld? It's unlikely. Qiu Changhan said in a low voice, the 9 Netherworld, there are only 9 entrances known to be connected to the present world. In the past, the Yan Empire cast 9 tripods to suppress them separately, which prevented the Yan energy from overflowing and the overthrow of Shenzhou. If this place is connected to the 9 Netherworld, who can get another Shenending to suppress this place? Among them, countless Yin ghosts and monsters have already come out and occupied this place. What do you think, brother? Zhu Yingyan did not comment, but asked back. I suspect there is a powerful Ghost King ahead. Qiu Changhan frowned and said. Ghost King? Zhu Yingyan was thoughtful. Not to mention that my brother's thunder method is famous for breaking evil and suppressing evil spirits, even my great light fire has a unique effect of killing magic. Even the Ghost King of the Jindan level, well, this, at least it should be no problem to protect yourself. She was a little uneasy, but when she thought of her senior brother by her side, she became inexplicably confident. Continuing forward, she saw that the blue brick corridor around her had turned into a natural cave, and the inky became increasingly cold and chilly. Zhu Yingyan suddenly felt her feet slip, but Qiu Changhan was quick and reached out to hold her body. She looked down and saw that there was a sunken pool of water under her feet, which had now turned into ice. Under the brilliance of the Universal King in small light technique, it reflected a vague and dazzling light. Is it foggy? Zhu Yingyan suddenly said. It's not fog. Qiu Changhan replied in a low voice, it's the inky that is so thick that it is almost condensed into substance. This fog is too obstructing. Zhu Yingyan pinched the dough formula and spit out the great light fire forward, immediately steaming all the surrounding fog dry. Be careful. Qiu Changhan suddenly shouted. Zhu Yingyan's pupils shrank slightly, and she quickly interrupted the dough formula to cast the spell. Suddenly, several twisted bodies appeared in the place where the fog in front of them dissipated. One of them was the junior sister Jiankingnan. She closed her eyes tightly, her face was blue and purple, and she was silent. If the bright light fire just now was not extinguished for a moment, she would be burned alive. Zhu Yingyan quickly put away the Taoist formula, walked up to her side quickly, and squatted down to carefully check her condition. It's just that the energy is too depleted. She turned her head, and her face was obviously relieved. It seems to be sucked away by evil magic. Before she finished speaking, Qiu Changhan suddenly raised his hand, and a blue-red lightning flashed, just passing by her. Behind Zhu Yingyan, who couldn't see it, a Kunlun monk suddenly stood up, his face melted like a wax figure under heat, revealing the appearance of green seedlings and fangs, then he was hit head-on by the jade pivot thunder. After all, Zhu Yingyan had a physique of a 7 or of exquisite mind, so he didn't look back immediately, but grabbed Jiankingman's arm, and immediately jumped forward with all his strength. Yu Jian shot backwards, she hugged the body of the little sister, turned around swiftly in the air, and finished the dough formula in her hand, spraying the great light fire behind her. The great light fire burned fiercely, but she saw the other party leaping back to the top of the cave, hanging upside down like a bat, laughing. You Shulei. Great light fire. The two little kids are quite powerful, but I don't know if the brain is delicious. That monster is. Both Zhu Yingyan and Qiu Changhan took a breath of cold air at this time. Flying Yaksha. It is said that the conventional method of refining corpses in the Ingido is divided into iron, copper, silver and gold. Copper and iron are easy to refine, but gold and silver are hard to find. When you reach the golden corpse, if you want to go further, you have to find the so-called lonely place, put the golden corpse in a coffin and bury it deep underground, let the Inky infiltrate day and night, and then you'll get the earth-walking Rakshasa with the strength of the Jindan realm. If we go one step further, we will have to find the so-called absolute Yangland, continue to bury it deep underground, soak it and refine it, and finally get the flying night demon, which has the strength of the nascent soul realm treasure life stage. As for the one in front of him, he took the jade pivot thunder and the great light fire head-on, but there was no sign of injury at all. There is no doubt that he is the flying night demon. Zhu Yingyan's face changed suddenly, and he stood in front of his senior brother calmly, ready to fight for him to escape at any time. Qiu Changhan's heart tightened, and then relaxed. He suddenly realized that the reason why this flying night demon attacked Jiankingnan but did not kill her was probably for some other purpose. Anyway, it couldn't be murder. If he really wanted to kill someone, with the strength of this nascent soul realm, he would have killed him directly when he met him just now, or Arjun would have taken me away long ago. Just thinking about this, I saw the flying night demon teleport past Zhu Yingyan. Its corpse face with green fangs was only 3 inches away from Qiu Changtian's nose, and it grinned ferociously. "Little kid, why don't you seem afraid?" "Senior." Qiu Changtian smiled casually. "I'm the chief of Kunlun Foundation Establishment Realm." "Then what?" Fission Yaksha laughed. "The brain of Kunlun chief is more delicious than that of ordinary cultivators, right? I played chess with Kisun Immortal." Qiu Changtian was still laughing. Fission Yaksha's evil smile quickly faded from his face, turning into a stiff dead expression, and asked coldly, "Kisun Immortal of the sect? It seems that Senior knows him, which is great." Qiu Changtian said calmly. Chapter 317 Yangxia Jumingdane. Is this possible? Zhu Yingyan stared blankly at her senior brother and Fission Yaksha talking and laughing, and even felt like she was in a dream for a while. But she was a smart person after all. Although her experience was not as rich as someone else's, and her reaction was also slow, she calmed down and quickly realized. This Fission Yaksha, according to ancient records, is a rare evil creature with spiritual intelligence in the world. Its strength is about the Yuning realm Baoguan stage. It is indeed unsolvable for casual cultivators and small sects, but a famous sect like Kunlun Taiking sect can kill it with a few Yuning elders. Because of this, although Fission Yaksha is a sucker for human brains, it has never attacked Jiankingnan. I think it is also afraid of the sect power behind her. But if that's the case, why let her send a message out? What if it attracts the Yuning elders? Wouldn't this Fission Yaksha be courting death? Zhu Yingyan frowned. Her face was cold, and she just stood shoulder to shoulder with her senior brother with a sword. Qiu Changtian was not panicking at all, because just now, Arjun had tipped him off. This flying Yaksha seems to have reached a bottleneck in its cultivation, and is almost about to turn into a drought demon. So what? Qiu Changtian asked back. If the flying Yaksha wants to turn into a drought demon, it must be punished by heaven. Kunlun Mirror replied, so it is suppressing its cultivation now. If its aura leaks out, the area within 100 miles will be razed to the ground by the heavenly calamity. It's not suppressing its cultivation actively, but this guy is sealed. Kingping Sword also added, I don't know if the person who sealed him is to restrict him or to help him. As Yoyo said, without this seal, its aura would have leaked out long ago. But this seal suppresses its power and prevents it from leaving here, so it's hard to say what the person is thinking. Qiu Changtian listened silently to the conversation between the sword and the mirror, and he was very sure in his heart that the situation of the flying Yaksha in front of him was much worse than his own. As he guessed, the flying Yaksha was also having a headache at this time. A stranger cultivator broke into this place. Should he be killed? Killing is simple. But if this cultivator disappeared here, what if the master behind him came to find him? If the master is not very powerful, Fission Yaksha can kill him at the same time, and there will be no trouble. It is naturally simple. But if the master is a big boss, then if Jiankingnan is spared, there will be a chance to bargain at the time. If he is killed directly, there will be no room for maneuver. Therefore, it kept a little more caution and wanted to test the background behind Jiankingnan. After all, it was sealed here and there was no possibility of running away. Now Jiankingnan has attracted Qiu Changtian, and Qiu Changtian is a junior of the Immortal Kisun of the sect, and he has played chess with the Immortal. This Fission Yaksha has a headache. It can't be sure whether there are any hidden pieces laid by the Immortal Kisun on Qiu Changtian. If it kills him, the Immortal Kisun will immediately feel it and look for him, and Fission Yaksha will be finished. If he doesn't kill him, should he let him go? If he lets him go, what if he goes back and tells the Immortal Kisun, and the Immortal comes looking for him? He'll be finished, too. If he doesn't let him go, and the Immortal Kisun notices his disappearance, and comes looking for him, he'll still be finished. It turns out that he shouldn't have let that girl send out the message spell with the idea of testing her in the first place. That's not right. Even if he doesn't let her send out the spell, won't the other party be able to find him? In the final analysis, since the ruins of this underground palace were exposed to the outside world, this place has been unsafe. The flying Yaksha is a little bald, although it has no hair, and his face is getting darker and darker, although it has a green face and fangs. Qiu Changtian is at ease, because he knows that the other party can't do anything to him. He has the Immortal Kisun as his backer. And the other party knows the name of the Immortal Kisun, so there's even less to worry about. Only Zhu Yingyan was extremely nervous, pinching the magic formulas with his hands again and again, and the great bright fire turned again and again in his throat and nasal cavity, ready to fight to the death at any time, but it seemed that he could not find a chance to make a move. Brother is really amazing. He was calm in the face of such an evil thing. I'm really useless. Such thoughts were fleeting, and were quickly suppressed by Zhu Yingyan's competitive spirit. No. I can't say that I am useless. Brother must be thinking of countermeasures, and I can't give up on myself. I have to think of a way. Zhu Yingyan was thinking like this, and Qiu Cheng Tian, who she believed was definitely thinking about countermeasures, was chatting leisurely with Kum Linjing at this time. Jin, what do you think this fish and yak will do? I don't know. Kum Linjing said first, then thought about it. Probably he will offer some benefits to try to bind you. Why not some means of controlling him? Kingping Sword deliberately scared him. As far as I know, corpses of its level will possess many special corpse poisons that can make people unable to live or die. Because there are immortals. Kum Linjing explained, if he is poisoned, what if the immortals find out after he goes back? I don't think Fish and Yak will try such a risky behavior. After all, since he can't get rid of you and he needs your help, he can only offer equal benefits to try to make you shut up on your own initiative. Qiu Cheng Tian still didn't believe it. Fish and Yak was so hideous and terrifying, how could he be an easy character to deal with? He was about to laugh at Broken Mirror, but the monster opposite suddenly put away its terrified expression and said with a smile, "You two little kids, but I have a blessing to share with you." Qiu Cheng Tian. Zhu Yingyan did not respond, but stared at it vigilantly. The flying Yaksha was not embarrassed either. He just took out a small ink-colored bottle and said, "Below this place, deep in the earth veins, where I have been buried for 10,000 years, it is called the Land of Absolute Yang. The so-called Absolute Yang literally means isolation from Yang energy. Even immortals will be polluted if they go down there, which is very troublesome. Of course, an extremely mean and filthy evil creature like me can naturally enter and exit there unscathed. However, the Land of Absolute Yang is not completely devoid of Yang energy, it's just that it is extremely scarce. Due to the oppression of the vast amount of Yang energy, they have to gather together and barely resist. The longer they resist, the purer this ray of acquired Yang energy will become, and finally it will become a strange thing called Yangxia Human Pill, which is in this bottle of mine." It pointed the mouth of the bottle to the outside, so that Qiu Cheng Tian and Zhu Yingyan could see that there were indeed two bright yellow pills inside. "I see you haven't formed the golden elixir yet." Fish and Yaksha said with a smile, "Take Yangxia Human Pill, then place it in the purple mansion, in the Sea of Qi, and use it as the foundation of the tower when the elixir is formed, and you can forcibly raise the golden elixir grade." Upon hearing this, Zhu Yingyan immediately opened his eyes wide in surprise, but his heart became more alert. There is no free lunch in the world. Qiu Cheng Tian's expression was calm, because he knew that there was no such thing as raising the golden elixir grade. At best, it was just saying that the effect of this purple mansion secret medicine could be equivalent to many years of Immortal Cultivation. Seeing that the two did not react, Fish and Yaksha thought that the other party was not scared, so he raised a finger and explained, "It is equivalent to 100 years of Immortal Cultivation. With your mortal lifespan, plus this 100 years of cultivation, isn't it equivalent to raising the grade of Jinnan by 1? Yangxia Human Pill." Kingping Sword said with emotion in the sea of consciousness, "This thing is indeed an extremely rare thing. But you have to know that solitary yin cannot produce, and solitary yang cannot grow. This pill is a collection of pure acquired yang energy, and it must be taken with yin huans and water. Otherwise, the yin and yang in the body will be out of balance, and there is a risk of purple palace bursting. However," Fish and Yaksha said with a smile, but the content was exactly the same as what Kingping Sword said, "This thing must be taken at the same time as something called yin huans and water. Otherwise, at best you will lose all your cultivation, and at worst you will die on the spot." He threw the bottle to Qiu Cheng Tian, who immediately reached out to catch it. I only heard Fati and Yaksha continue to say, "The Inuyanshin water is in another place in the ruins of this land vein. If you trust me, you can follow me to get it." Chapter 318. White Bone Temple. The flying Yaksha walked in front, Qiu Cheng Tian and Zhu Yingyan followed silently behind, communicating with each other with their eyes. Zhu Yingyan was very anxious, because according to the records in the classics, the flying Yaksha was born from the resentment between heaven and earth and was the first evil creature between heaven and earth. Simply put, this kind of monster hated all living things by nature and was not trustworthy at all. Of course, she also knew that the two of them did not have many choices at this time. The reason why that flying Yaksha did not kill the two people should be due to some concerns about the elders behind them, but this concern must be limited. As for the send you two blessings, the malice in it could not be concealed, and it was almost like saying I plan to use you two to achieve some ulterior purpose. The unconscious Jin Kingman was carried on Zhu Yingyan's back, and because of the serious loss of his energy, there was still no sign of waking up. As for the other Kunlun monks, they would directly suck dry of their energy and died. It can be seen that this flying yaksha is not afraid of Kunlun Tai King sect at all, and is probably only afraid of the name of Red Pine Immortal. Qiu Chang's time naturally thought more, and he had already vaguely guessed that the other party wanted to use himself and his junior sister to unlock the seal on it. But, after the seal is unlocked, once this guy's aura is revealed, won't he be killed directly by the heavenly tribulation? Could it be that the other party does not want to unlock the seal, but wants to gain control of the seal? He was just thinking about it, and heard Fish and Yaksha sighed. I have been here for tens of thousands of years. After the underground palace was opened some time ago, cultivators came here one after another, but they were too cautious and never dared to approach the place where my coffin was buried. So I really have to thank you. If she hadn't come in rashly and triggered the mechanism, I might not have had a chance to wake up. Qiu Chang's Han and Zhu Yingyan couldn't hold back after hearing this, and decided that after understanding the matter, they must teach junior sister Jin a lesson and let her know what caution means. Fish and Yaksha led the two to the octagonal palace and chose another entrance to enter. After walking for about half an hour, and not knowing how deep they had gone underground, they suddenly saw a cold wind blowing in front of them. They saw a huge abyss rift in front of them, with a diameter of about 100 feet, with a stone wall on the top and a bottomless depth below, like the dark mouth of a giant beast. The passage that everyone walked out of was right at the edge of the cave wall of the rift. There was only a narrow path, which was rugged and winding downwards, like a poisonous snake spitting out its tongue. The entire rift was in a dark environment without any light, so everyone could not recognize anything and could only use their spiritual sense to identify the surroundings. Fish and Yaksha stepped onto the narrow path, strolling leisurely, with a calm posture, as if he was in his own backyard. Qiu Chang's Han followed closely behind, with a pace that was neither fast nor slow, but he was able to keep up with Fish and Yaksha's figure. Only Zhu Yingyan was extremely cautious, almost step by step, with Yujie sword waving above his head, his hands pinching the Taoist formula in his sleeves, and his spiritual sense constantly scanning the surroundings. Tell your wife to hurry up. Fish and Yaksha suddenly turned around and said, with me leading the way in front, what else do you have to be on guard against? I'm mainly on guard against this evil thing. Zhu Yingyan remained silent, only to hear Qiu Chang's Han say, come, junior sister, give me your hand. Zhu Yingyan didn't understand, her face slightly flushed, and she handed her hand over. The two held hands, and Zhu Yingyan suddenly reacted again. Senior brother is really good at thinking. Is he going to write on my palm to avoid the hearing of Fish and Yaksha? However, Qiu Chang's Han interlocked his fingers with hers, palms pressed together, and pulled her to continue moving forward. Zhu Yingyan waited for a long time, and finally couldn't help but bend her fingers and wrote on Qiu Chang's Han's palm. What? Qiu Chang's Han did not change his pace and wrote on his backhand, don't be afraid. Zhu Yingyan didn't know why, but his anger rose up in his heart. I thought you were going to share with me some clever way to get out. Afraid, how could I be afraid? Besides, aren't you still by my side? Do you think I'm the kind of weak woman who trembles when she sees a strong enemy and can't walk or move her legs? Zhu Yingyan became more and more angry as she thought about it. She didn't care about continuing to move forward step by step. She just quickened her pace with murderous intent and dragged Qiu Chang's Han away. Qiu Chang's Han. What did I do to offend her? Forget it, junior sister's used nerves have always been fragile, and she gets emotional at any time. Fortunately, she is not like Mishi, who doesn't care about anything when she gets angry and does some childish things that make people speechless. At most, she just says a few poisonous words. As a senior brother, of course I won't care about such a lovely junior sister. And junior sister's used cold look when she is angry seems to have a different flavor. He started to think about it again, and suddenly felt Zhu Yingyan holding his hand tightly. Qiu Chang's Han swept down with his spiritual sense, and saw the dome of the palace protruding in the rift valley, which looked particularly hideous in the dark. At the bottom of this rift valley, there is actually a huge ancient relic. Moreover, judging from its architectural style, it is very similar to the Donghuan Palace in southern Xinjiang, and its size is roughly the same. Its exterior is made of blue bricks and covered with a layer of lime, which is almost integrated with the outer rock wall, as if it was made by nature. Fish and Yaksha stepped onto the ground and looked up at the towering palace. A complex emotion flashed in his dark green eyes, but soon disappeared. Qiu Changtai and Zhu Yingyan also went down to the bottom of the valley. The latter was still carrying the unconscious Jiang Qingnan. The two of them swept the main gate of the palace with their spiritual consciousness, and saw 4 seal characters engraved above the door railing. White Bone Palace. Zhu Yingyan lowered his head and quickly recalled the ancient books he had read before. It is said that the lineage of the Enkidu can be traced back to the Shijini and Nying of the White Bone Cave in the Skull Mountain of the Jirizhao, who was the leader of all demons. There is a passage in it. So the demons such as the Bull Demon King, the Lion Demon King, the Elephant Demon King, the Horse-Headed Demon King, the World-Devouring Demon King, the Demon King of the Demon Mother, the Nine-Headed Demon King, the Dolly Demon King, the Fanchan Demon King, the 500 Yakshas, the 72 Fire Crows. It can be seen that the Shiji Lady of the Jirizhao once had thousands of demon cultivators under her command, and her momentum was extremely huge. Could this flying Yaksha in front of him also be a member of Shiji Lady's command in the past? Let's go. The flying Yaksha said in a strange tone, and walked directly to the White Bone Palace. Qiu Changtai took Zhu Yingyan's hand, pondered for a moment, and could only follow quickly. Crossing the main gate of the White Bone Palace, he entered the main hall. Whether in ancient times or modern times, the main hall of the sect's residence is always built huge and majestic because it is to receive guests, but most of the time it is empty, without any extra furnishings and decorations. The main hall of the White Bone Temple was naturally empty, with only 4 huge stone pillars and a stone pedestal. The surface of the stone pillars was engraved with dense skull reliefs in various postures, just like a jinkan. The stone pedestal was located on a high platform behind the main hall. Sitting on it, one could overlook the entire hall below. Fish and Yaksha suddenly said, "Go through the main hall, and the left side in front is the Ghost Sect, and the right side is the Incorpse Sect. The inhumans and water is refined by the ghost cultivators in the Ghost Sect, and is used to nourish the soul and strengthens the Yuanzhen. Just follow me." Qiu Changtai and Zhu Yingyan heard this and became secretly alert. Chapter 319. Chime Bells, Blood Array. The Bone Temple, through the main hall, is the back hall. In the back hall, against the wall, 8 chimes are neatly placed, also made of countless bones, with various skulls, ribs, hand bones and spines protruding irregularly on the surface, which looks very evil. What's even more bizarre is that there is no wind in the back hall, but these bone chimes are moving without wind, making strange sounds like crying and laughing. Zhu Yingyan was suddenly startled, and realized that since she entered the underground, these strange sounds have been echoing in her ears. Just because they are vague, she subconsciously ignored them. Is it the sound of the bell? Suddenly, a faint pain came from the sea of consciousness. Zhu Yingyan hurriedly circulated her true essence and cleansed her mind, only to realize that the sound of the bell seemed to affect people's minds. Fortunately, her 7 orifice exquisite heart has great resistance to illusions, so she can maintain a stable mind. She looked at Qiu Changtai again, only to see that his expression did not change, as if he had directly ignored the illusion of the bell. "This is the White Bone Empty Bell," Fish and Yaksha said with a grim smile. "This bell moves without wind, and its sound can shake people's souls and fascinate their minds. Those with lower magic power will feel dizzy, weak limbs and unable to move after only 3 breaths of hearing the bell." Seeing that the 2 people's faces did not change, Fish and Yaksha thought that they were just holding on, so he walked to their side of the chimes and continued. "Of course, when no one activates it, this illusion is just torture and can be tolerated. But if there is an external enemy attacking, just activate it, and the illusion effect will be immediately magnified 100 times. No matter how high your cultivation level is, you will never be able to resist it." As it said, it stretched out its long black nails and knocked hard on the bell cover. There was only a long sound, and Zhu Yingyan's face turned pale immediately. At the moment the bell rang, she felt as if something hit her soul and she almost lost her balance. What a powerful illusion attack! Moreover, it was the kind that went straight to the soul, so she couldn't find any effective means to resist it, and could only use the talent of the 7 act, which is hard to resist it. Seeing Zhu Yingyan finally showing a strange look, Fish and Yaksha was a little confused. "I rang the bell, why didn't you fall?" Looking at Qiu Changtai again, its face immediately became strange. Because the sky seemed to be fine, just looking around at these chimes, as if he was appreciating some works of art. Fish and Yaksha's face was a little embarrassed. He just said absolutely irresistible, but the 2 people in front of him held on steadily. How could he save face? After a long silence, it could only bite the bullet and say, It's just that these bone chimes have been abandoned here for tens of millions of years, so the spirituality has dimmed a lot, and it no longer has the effect of attacking souls. Hasn't the senior been buried here for more than 10,000 years? Kyo Chang Time asked curiously. If you don't understand, shut up. 10,000 years is just a figure of speech. Fission Yaksha suppressed the murderous intent in his heart, turned his head, and said irritably, how can a monk care about these trivial details? It gritted its teeth fiercely, and continued to move forward with the two of them, and soon entered a side hall. In the center of the side hall, there was a blood-stained stone platform. The edge of the stone platform was decorated with countless skulls and bones, forming a mysterious magic circle. Kyo Chang Time took a look and knew that it seemed to be some kind of evil magic circle, which was used to drain the flesh and blood of the target in the center of the magic circle, but it was mixed with the soul-soothing magic circle. Is this, to make the target die more comfortably? This is the blood altar of the ghost sect. Fission Yaksha explained, any cultivator who wants to switch to ghost cultivation must first take in humans and water and practice ghost cultivation techniques for 49 days. The inhumans and water is not water, but a mixture of pure yin energy and spiritual essence. When taken in conjunction with the techniques, it can cause the flesh and blood to wither and the bones to dry up. When the body is almost decayed, sit on this blood altar and practice the secret technique to separate the body and soul, and turn into a ghost cultivator. I see. Kyo Chang Time said calmly, I wonder what's so special about ghost cultivators. First, they are proficient in all kinds of soul techniques, and their methods are strange. Fission Yaksha said slowly. Second, they can freely go down to the 9th netherworld and avoid trouble. The third point, and the most important point, since ghost cultivators have abandoned their physical bodies, there is no limit on their lifespan. At this point, it kept silent at the right time. Kyo Chang Time and Zhu Yinglyan looked at each other and knew that the method of ghost cultivation must have some great flaws, but the flying night demon deliberately didn't say it. Otherwise, why don't we see many ghost cultivators in the in-ghost do now? You know, if there is no limit on the lifespan, many people who originally couldn't make a pill can slowly accumulate cultivation and calmly make a pill. The flaw is that the heavenly tribulation is abnormally frequent. Kumla Mirror added in the sea of consciousness, ghost cultivators and yin corpses are evil things that are not tolerated by the heavenly way in the world. They took advantage of the loopholes and got rid of the lifespan limit. You can see it now. The flying night demon walked forward, and suddenly kicked the skull next to the magic circle as if by accident. The magic circle suddenly lit up with a bloody light, covering everyone present. Oh, I accidentally touched the restriction. The flying night demon said with an evil smile, but there was no apology on his face. It was obviously intentional. Zhu Yinglyan's face suddenly changed, and he hurriedly tried to activate the flying sword, but he found that his true energy was blocked and he couldn't use any magic at all. Fission Yaksha looked at the two coldly, thinking that even if you are not afraid of illusions, you can't do anything about this formation, right? Beg me. As long as you kneel down and beg me, and swear with your heart that you will not reveal my existence, I will help you too to rescue the formation. Otherwise, as time goes by, you will have to watch your flesh and blood gradually disappear and wither. The pain is absolutely extraordinary. Just as it was thinking about how to hint in a roundabout way to force the two to choose to surrender, Kyo Chang Time walked forward and put the skull back in place. He stretched out his right hand again, put two fingers together, and drew a few strokes on the ground. The formation flashed and went out like a light switch. Fission Yaksha. Why are you so careless, senior? Kyo Chang Time said calmly, fortunately, I know a little about formations, otherwise it would be really difficult to save this time. Ahem. Fission Yaksha came back to his senses and said awkwardly, this formation has been abandoned for tens of millions of years. It is normal for it to suddenly malfunction and start. I see. Kyo Chang Time said, then please be careful next time, senior, don't accidentally touch any restrictions that have been abandoned for tens of millions of years. That's natural, that's natural. Fission Yaksha said repeatedly, hating in his heart. Now Kyo Chang Time and the other two are afraid that it will kill them, and Fission Yaksha is also afraid that the other party will attract immortals after death. It can be said that each has the key to destroy the other. In this case, no matter who directly uses force, it is equivalent to perish together, so the only way is to use soft means to make the other party surrender. For example, trap the other party in the formation and torture him. What if the other party knows that they dare not kill him? Under the cruel torture of the restriction, most people will eventually choose to surrender. Who knows that this freak human cultivator has no reaction to illusions and formations can't trap him? Is this a good idea? Chapter 320. Unexpected appearance. The two of them were also vaguely aware of Fish and Yaksha's thoughts. Zhu Yingyan took Qiu Changtime's hand and began to write in his palm again. Be careful. Qiu Changtime held her fingers with his backhand. Zhu Yingyan pulled a few times, but couldn't pull them out. She let him hold them half ashamed, half angry, and half helpless. Fish and Yaksha seemed to be unaware of the two's little actions. Suddenly, he turned around and said, the treasure room of the ghost sect is in front. The inhumans and water you need is in it, but, it deliberately prolonged the voice, suddenly jumped up and pounced on Qiu Changtime. Zhu Yingyan immediately drew his sword and stabbed Fish and Yaksha with the Yujie sword. The other party just stretched out his hand and easily pushed the Yujie sword away and hit it to the side. Great light fire. Zhu Yingyan puffed up his face, and a large amount of flames came out of his mouth and nose, sweeping towards Fish and Yaksha. In the blazing flames, Fish and Yaksha suddenly rushed out, his whole body was charred black, but the injury did not seem serious. In an instant, he passed Zhu Yingyan's defensor, went around Qiu Changtime's back, and grabbed his neck with one hand. Let's make a deal. Fish and Yaksha said with a smile, I don't trust you, and I think you don't trust me, so why not exchange chips with each other? Little girl, in addition to the inhumans and water, there is also a handleless locust wood sword. You give me the locust wood sword, and I will return your little husband intact to you, how about it? Zhu Yingyan stared angrily, as if she wanted to kill him with her eyes. But she soon got Qiu Changtime's eyes again, and the calm eyes meant, don't worry. To be honest, it may not be this meaning, but his calm expression in the face of danger, the calm expression that Zhu Yingyan hated the most after winning every competition, gave her almost endless confidence and courage at this time. Senior brother is invincible, he must have had a plan. Thinking of this, Zhu Yingyan turned around silently and walked towards the inner room. Qiu Changtime was clamped by the throat by Fish and Yaksha, but he was not panicked at all. Because once Fish and Yaksha had the intention to kill him, a Jin would immediately teleport himself away, even if junior sisters Yu were still trapped here. Fish and Yaksha noticed that he was calm and his heartbeat did not even speed up, and he could not help but grin and asked, do you really think I dare not kill you? If you want to do it, why wait until now? Qiu Changtime said with a smile. I will kill you when I get the locust wood sword. Fish and Yaksha stretched out his pointed tongue and licked his lips. What's the benefit of killing me? Qiu Changtime was still laughing. If you don't kill me, you can bet whether I will tell the secret after I go back. If you kill me, the Red Pine Immortal will definitely avenge me. Your Excellency is going to provoke the hatred of the Immortal just because of your own desires. Fish and Yaksha was speechless and silent. Qiu Changtime did not say anything to continue to stimulate it, but just thought about it. It seems that the handleless locust wood sword it mentioned is the key magic weapon to control the seal on it. Fish and Yaksha asked junior sister to take it, which shows 2 points. First, it was restricted and could not directly take the locust wood sword, so it used the inhumans and water to guide the two to follow. Second, after getting the locust wood sword, junior sisters Yu could not study it thoroughly in a short time and could not use it to control Fish and Yaksha. At least it has this confidence, so it chose to show its cards in advance instead of trying to trick junior sisters Yu to take the sword. If this is true, then from our perspective, there is really no good way to counter the opponent. Handing the handleless locust wood sword to the opponent is indeed the best choice in the current situation. This is also within the opponent's calculation. Thinking of this, Qiu Changtime looked at Fish and Yaksha meaningfully. This guy, although he is a born evil creature, his mind is so meticulous that he is almost as good as humans. The flying Yaksha also returned a meaningful and intriguing look. This human kid, why is he not afraid at all? Is he confident? Or arrogant? No matter what, since this person is rational, he should know that he has no other choice. Handing over the magic weapon to me obediently is your only way out. The two of them each had their own ulterior motives. Although they did not say anything on the surface, they had indeed reached an agreement in private that did not need to be discussed. It could only do this. Zhu Yingyan entered the treasure room and looked around cautiously. There were several rows of bone racks with various dark streamers on them. Some were magic weapons, some were elixir bottles, and some were flying swords. Zhu Yingyan saw a handleless locust wood sword, which was hung on a nail on the wall with a red rope. The base of the nail was still the pattern of the Taikai Bagua plate, and various ancient seal characters were engraved on it. In many sects' resident places like the treasure room are the most important forbidden areas in the sect. Basically, there are some prohibitions, traps and other protections. It is the most foolish behavior to rashly take the treasure. She looked around and suddenly stretched out her hand and blew out a small firebird. The firebird flapped its wings and looked very agile. It circled around the room and then landed on Zhu Yingyan's shoulder, chirping. There was no restriction, which was quite strange. However, Zhu Yingyan thought again, if there was a restriction, how could the flying yaksha let her come alone? What if she was killed by the restriction? Obviously, the flying yaksha was sure that she could get the treasure safely, which meant that there was no restriction here. Perhaps the flying yaksha had come here in advance and broke all the restrictions that could be broken, and only the last restriction was specifically to prevent the incorpse from passing through. Zhu Yingyan's mind turned over thousands of thoughts in an instant. She came to one of the shelves and reached out to take the pill bottle on it. She took it down. The pill bottle was made of translucent colored glass, and some black viscous liquid could be seen rippling inside. She checked the other pill bottles around again and found that they were either filled with pills or spiritual herbs. There was indeed no bottle filled with liquid. In other words, the inhumans and water was most likely these black liquids. Zhu Yingyan sighed and put away all the pill bottles. She looked at the surrounding shelves again, where there were various flying swords, chimes, small tripods, mirrors, jade pots, seals, and other magic weapons, which were dazzling. It was just a pity that they all flowed with dark light. Obviously all of them were pure magic weapons of the magic way. This kind of magic weapon must be refined with a trace of turbid air in the body to drive it with maximum power. However, the main focus is on clear air and the auxiliary is turbid air, which is the unique circulation route of the magic sect. The Orthodox sect does not talk about turbid air cultivation, and Zhu Yingyan practiced the Nine Heavens Kingway realm mantra. The whole body of the ki channels are all clear air, and there is no turbid air left. These magic weapons are useless to her, brother Ki, and other Kumling cultivators. So it could only be put in a storage bag and taken to Kumlin for destruction. She cleaned the entire room, and in the end, only the handleless locust wood sword was left hanging on the wall. Senior brother Ki's life depended on this sword. Zhu Yingyan took a deep breath and was about to reach out to take it solemnly, when suddenly a white jade-like hand grabbed the handleless locust wood sword from the side. Who? Zhu Yingyan subconsciously dodged sideways and tilted her head to look. The owner of the hand was an evil man with red hair and double pupils, wearing a black robe and a demonic aura. He was playing with the handleless locust wood sword in his hand. Who are you? Zhu Yingyan asked coldly. Demon Lord Wei Dongliu. The man raised the corners of his mouth, his double pupils shrank, and he looked over evilly. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 321 Performance. Qiu Changtai felt a little uncomfortable. Mainly because his neck was being pinched, and Fission Yaksha's nails were long and black, and there seemed to be mysterious old mud inside, which made him feel very uncomfortable. If he accidentally scratched it, would he be infected by corpse poison? Relax a little. Qiu Changtai suddenly said, aren't you tired at being pinched like this? No. Fission Yaksha smiled, I can't let you run away, I have to drag you to negotiate with your wife later. With your current realm, if you can still let me run away, then the name of Fission Yaksha is too worthless. Qiu Changtai said. Don't worry about it. Fission Yaksha laughed, we zombies don't care about face and name, they are all empty. Qiu Changtai was speechless, and he knew that this person was deliberately playing tricks on him, so he kept silent. Suddenly, a huge explosion came from the treasure room in front. Fission Yaksha stood up suddenly, clamped Qiu Changtai and walked forward, with a ferocious expression. That's not right. There shouldn't be any restrictions left there, could it be that, as soon as they arrived at the door of the treasure room, they saw Zhu Yingyan's body flying out of it. Fission Yaksha pulled Qiu Changtai to quickly dodge sideways, only to see Zhu Yingyan being hit hard at the foot of the opposite wall like a tattered puppet, rolling around in a mess for a few rounds and fainting. Qiu Changtai's pupils suddenly shrank, and his heart was in turmoil. What happened? Why is Junior Sister Zhu injured? Is there any restriction inside that has not been lifted and she accidentally touched it? Damn, you rubbish Fission Yaksha, you can't even tell if there is a restriction in the treasure room. You caused my junior sister's you to be seriously injured, and I will never forgive you. Then, everyone saw a demon king with red hair and double pupils walking out of the treasure room, playing with a handleless locust wood sword in his hand. Kyo Chain's Iron. Fishin Yaksha. Who is this person? Kyo Chain's Iron was just stunned for a moment, then suddenly reacted. Damn. Wait, Dongliu. Isn't this my future self? The demon king looked over with contempt in his double pupils, and said slowly. The chief of Kunlun Foundation Establishment Realm, oh? There is also a flying night demon. Kyo Chain's Iron was silent, and just suppressed the urge to complain in his heart, and saw the flying night demon suddenly let go of him, and attacked the opposite side without a word, and the black claws brought a low wind sound. Then it was blocked by Wei Dongliu holding the handleless locust wood sword. The claws of the flying night demon touched the sword body, and immediately made a terrifying sound like burning, and its expression was distorted in horror. Oh, that's it? Wei Dongliu sneered, you have only this level of strength before the seal is unlocked. Kyo Chain's Iron was speechless. You are so good at pretending, it's better to give you the template of the invincible character. He quickly retreated to Zhu Yingluan's side and quickly checked her physical condition. Fortunately, he was not fatally injured, but the demonic energy entered his body, temporarily blocking some meridians. When he raised his head again, he heard Fishin Yaksha screaming, and his whole body flew out, fell heavily on the wall, and then rolled to the ground, motionless, as if he was sealed again. Wei Dongliu put away the handleless locust wood sword and walked over. Kyo Chain's Iron subconsciously raised his head and looked at him, only to hear the demon king say, I will take Fishin Yaksha away. Shipping Mountain just needs a sect-suppressing monster. Your master and my companions are on their way, so we can't just go out in peace, do you understand? Of course. Kyo Chain's Iron stood up and sighed, but you should know that my invincible personality cannot lose, right? Just don't decide the winner. Wei Dongliu waved his hand. Zhu Yingluan slowly opened his eyes. The surging magic light and loud noise immediately made her wake up from her drowsy state. She quickly rolled to her feet and then quickly scanned the surroundings. The space nearby was so spacious, this should be the main hall of the White Bone Temple. Wait, where is my senior brother? Where is the flying Yaksha? And the demon king? She suddenly raised her head and saw Kyo Chain's Iron in the air, backhanding a divine thunderbolt to force the red-haired and double-pupiled demon king to retreat. The other party laughed a few times and raised his hand, and 3 golden lights fell from the sky. Kyo Chain's Iron cut one with the Jade Dragon Sword, shot the Jade Pivot Thunder with his right hand to shock the second one, and used the Shao Fu Shangyang Sword Energy with his left hand to slash the third one. In a flash, he completely blocked the opponent's killing move. The 3 golden lights were all blocked, but they did not dissipate. Instead, they circled several times and returned to Wei Dongliu, crying miserably. The whole body is golden red, with several sections of shell, sharp claws in the mouth, and the wings vibrate quickly and silently. Isn't that the long-lost golden silkworm Gu? Zhu Yingluan felt cold in his heart when he saw it, and heard Kyo Chain's Iron suddenly say in a loud voice, Junior sister, be careful on the right. Zhu Yingluan turned his head quickly and saw 2 people coming out of the back hall on the other side of the White Bone Palace. One of them was wrapped in a black robe with silver lines on the edges, ancient hairpins tied up his hair, and bone teeth buckled his shoulders. His appearance was as beautiful as a woman. It was Wen Yang, the judge of the Engado. More than 10 years ago, after meeting in the Longshan vein, the Tian and Zhu family went to check the information of this person, so Zhu Yingluan recognized the other party's identity at a glance. The other person was wearing a light purple long skirt, a green hairpin to set the bun, a jade ring on his wrist, and a silver bell on his ankle. He had a delicate appearance and a sweet smile. It was Jianglin, the little witch of the Tianmogdo. Zhu Yingluan had also heard about this person recently, because it was rumored that Aizinzi, the little demon of the Heavenly Demon sect, died at the hands of her junior sister. The 2 had just come out of the back hall on the other side, and they were slightly startled when they saw the fierce battle in the air. But they quickly reacted and attacked Zhu Yingluan from the left and right. Wen Yang moved silently to the left, and when he raised his hand, a large number of ghosts poured out of his sleeves like a tide. Jianglin also shook his robe sleeves, and more than a dozen demon heads rolled to the ground, turning into hideous and fierce warriors, charging over with black wind. Zhu Yingluan was about to retreat, but suddenly found that Jianqingnan, who was unconscious, was at her feet. Can't retreat. If you retreat here, junior sister Jian will definitely die on the spot, and they may turn around to attack senior brother. As his mind was flowing, Zhu Yingyan's eyes widened, and he continued to pinch the Duo formula, and his whole body's true energy was rapidly surging, and he quickly chanted, floating in the 9 mornings, shining thousands of feet. From her mouth and nose, a large amount of flowing flames violently spurted out, and in an instant, half of the space in front of her was turned into a sea of fire. Great light fire. Wen Yang immediately screamed, "It's Kunlun Phoenix Fairy. This fire can't touch you, retreat first." He quickly retreated, and at the same time put 2 fingers together, chanting in a sharp voice, "Red-tailed Yuli, cold evil is coming." Then around him, a large amount of frost-white gas emerged out of thin air, resisting the flames coming from all directions. But it was only barely resisted, forming a small circle without fire. Obviously, Zhu Yingyan's great light fire, its Taoist power is stronger than his Jirohi cold art. It's useless. Wei Dongliu saw that the 2 could not resist, so he had to land quickly, snapped his fingers, and 300 poisonous golden silkworms rushed into the sea of fire. Zhu Yingyan hurriedly manipulated the Yujie sword to intercept, but she only saw 3 golden lights penetrate the sea of fire, knocking the Yujie sword away and rushing towards her face. Another divine thunder fell, knocking all 3 golden silkworms away. Qiu Changtai landed beside her, and carried Jian Qingnan on his back, saying quickly, "Junior sister Jian is still unconscious. It's not good to fight for a long time. Retrieve quickly." Chapter 322. She works hard to improve herself. Qiu Changtai led his junior sisters Yu Yingyan and the unconscious Burton Jian Qingnan, fighting and retreating all the way out of the White Bone Temple and returning to the upper corridor. Jian Qingnan and Wen Yang chased them one after another, approaching them quickly from behind each time, and then they were repelled by Qiu Changtai's divine thunder or Zhu Yingyan's bright fire. Wei Dongliu followed silently behind, using the handleless locust wood sword to control the flying night demon, who was reluctantly delaying. Sometimes, Zhu Yingyan's bright fire burned too much and forced the 2 back. Wei Dongliu let the 100 poisonous golden silkworm gear fly out, forcing Zhu Yingyan to stop the magic. Then Qiu Changtai came to the rescue and repelled the 100 poisonous golden silkworm gear. This cycle repeated 3 or 4 times, and Qiu Changtai and others finally left the surface of Longshan and returned to the ground. A sword-like flew from the sky, and it was the head of Ziwei. As soon as Wei Dongliu and the others came out of the ground, they saw Ziwei's sect master point at his finger, and the Qi light spectroscopy sword turned into countless sword shadows, falling down like rain. "Let's go." With Wei Dongliu's order, the flying night demon turned into a black light, wrapped everyone in it, and then shot towards the east. "You go back to Kunlun first." Ziwei's sect master waved his whisk, then drove that Qi light spectroscopy sword and flew towards the eastern sky. Qiu Changtai, "It's over, my master is coming to hunt me down, what should I do? I shouldn't have let my junior sister go to report the news. It's like courting death. With master's help this time, those demon cultivators will definitely not be able to escape." Seeing that Qiu Changtai looked a little bad, Zhu Yingyan thought he was depressed because he couldn't show his skills. After all, he had to protect his 2 junior sisters, so he comforted him. So Qiu Changtai's mood became worse. "Let's go," he said with a forced smile. "Anyway, since I already know that my master will appear at the last minute, then Wei Dongliu, that is, my future self, will definitely anticipate this in advance. I must believe that my future self has enough wisdom and means to solve difficulties." The 2 flew back to Kunlun Jinlan cave, and Qiu Changtai placed Jian Qingnan in her own cave. "You stay here to watch her, I'll go find someone from the steward hall," he told Zhu Yingyan. "Okay." Zhu Yingyan nodded and agreed. Qiu Changtai flew away from Jinlan and went to the steward hall to invite a Jinnan who was in charge of treatment to come and check Jian Qingman's condition. The results of the examination were also normal. It was just an ordinary loss of essence and energy, and eating some aged polygon multiple rum would be enough. After sending Jinnan away, Qiu Changtai suddenly remembered something, looked at his waist, and then sighed. All the things that Sisters Yu took out from the treasure room of the White Bone Palace, together with the things in her own storage bag, were taken away by Wei Dongliu. After taking out the magic weapons, the rest were thrown to Qiu Changtai without considering how he would deal with them. Qiu Changtai looked carefully and found that most of them were elixirs, spiritual herbs, and some spare flying swords and magic weapons. These must not be returned directly to Junior Sisters Yu. Otherwise, how can I explain the source of these things? But if I don't return them to her, I can't use them. If junior sister accidentally sees them, it will be worse than returning them to her directly and not being able to explain them clearly. Well, I got it. I can give it to Long Long. When I was playing Long Long, I was always in the Donghuan demon realm and would never be discovered by junior sister Zhu. So he called Kunlun Mirror in his sea of consciousness and said, "Jin, let's load the file." "Load Wei Dongliu?" Kunlun Mirror asked. "No, let's do Luoyan first." Qiu changed and said, "I need to think carefully about how I will deal with Master's pursuit in the future." "Okay then." Kunlun Mirror began to activate the spell. Point 3. Pengliu King Temple, Tiangong Workshop. Character Identity. Luoyan. The Mirror Flower and Water Moon template is overwritten, and time travel is in progress. Arriving at Tiangong Workshop, Luoyan finished today's formation homework as usual, and then went to his master, Elder Shiding, to report the progress. It turned out that Elder Shiding was not there, and only Shilili was practicing in the yard. Wait, Miss, she can actually practice. Luoyan stood at the gate of the yard, looking at Shilili practicing swordsmanship, with a serious expression on her pretty face. Then he turned around and rubbed his eyes. Well, there must be something wrong. Luoyan was turning around to leave. Shilili caught a glimpse of his back, and rushed over to hold him. Junior brother, come and practice with me quickly." Luoyan stood there in a daze, and for a moment he actually had the urge to burst into tears. My eldest daughter, she has finally grown up and learned to practice on her own. Wait, senior sister. He suddenly turned around and asked curiously, "Why are you so diligent all of a sudden?" Shilili was also stunned for a moment, and then said with a gloomy look, "Second senior sister, she betrayed Tiangong Fang, right?" "Yes." Luoyan nodded. "As for Lady Kind's theory that I was a traitor from the beginning, so there is no betrayal, it is too ridiculous, so I won't mention it here. I want to become stronger." Shilili was silent for a moment, and her face was unusually serious. "I want to find second senior sister and ask her why she betrayed. If her reasons can't convince me, I will avenge fourth senior brother." Luoyan. "Well, although she seems to still have unrealistic hopes, at least she has grown up." "I see, I support you, senior sister." He gave her a false and sincere smile. "What do you want to practice, senior sister?" "Taoism or swordsmanship?" "Let's practice swordsmanship first." Shilili hesitated for a moment and said, "My sword is called Zijihan Yuan, and I got it from the secret realm of Quhansun Mountain. The old man in the secret realm said that my sword controlling skills are not yet proficient, but he gave me this sword because I practiced the 5 latitudes Jingti and Milu, and my true essence attributes are very compatible with this immortal sword. It would have been better if she didn't say it." When she said this, Luoyan couldn't help but feel a little sour. "I went through a lot of trouble to find information, crack the secret realm mechanism, and finally tried to break through the secret realm, and as a result, I got some experience and guidance from the old man. Miss was sent to the secret realm by me, and as a result, she got a magic weapon, an immortal sword, and a secret method of calculation. Who is the man of destiny? Otherwise, you can come and find this sky-repairing stone." He suppressed the strange emotions in his heart, and the smile on his face became warm and friendly. "Okay, since senior sister wants to practice sword, then I will accompany you." Last time at the bottom of the 5 Gizkao Yuan cave, after the Toho sword was broken in order to resist the attack of the ghost dragon, he asked senior brother Ling Shu for a new 9th level Earth-type flying sword, called Lianqing. The grade is average, the strength and toughness are still excellent. As for the Taoist magic on the sword, after all, it is only 9th level, so it's better not to talk about it. "Junior brother," Shilili said hesitantly, "your sword was given to you by the senior brother. It's only the 9th level, right? My Zijihan Yuan sword is the 10th level. You'll be at a disadvantage in the competition, right? Why don't I find a 9th level sword?" "No need," Luoyan said with a smile. "This Zijihan Yuan sword is the flying sword you should get used to using. As for the flying swords of other attributes, what's the difference even if you practice them well? As for the disadvantage, it doesn't matter. I'm originally a junior brother, and my cultivation level is not as good as that of the senior sister, and the gap can't be made up by equalizing the grades of flying swords. Regardless of whether we win or lose this time, we just need to learn swordsmanship and sharpen each other's growth." Every time he said a word, the synchronization value of his hypocritical personality increased by 1 point, so that Kunlun Mirror and Kingping Sword couldn't stand it and clicked their tongues. "Okay then." The innocent Mishi nodded, thinking that she couldn't take advantage of her junior brother, so she might as well practice with him with 80% of her strength, so as to make up for the gap in the grades of flying swords. Half an hour later, Shialuli, who had lost 20 games in a row, had fallen into a state of doubt about his life. Chapter 323. It's up to you. Junior sister seems to have become more motivated recently. Ling Yushu came to the hall and said casually, "Just now I passed by the front yard and saw her practicing sword-wielding skills with junior brother. It should have been done long ago." Liang Ruoho said coldly, "If she hadn't gone out without permission, forcing Master to go out to find her and leave the temple, how could the traitor have caught the opportunity?" "Well, junior sister is too harsh on her." Ling Yushu coughed and said, "How could junior sister know in advance that Yu-King Temple would suffer such a disaster? Let's not talk about this time." Liang Ruoho said coldly, "Big brother should have seen how we treated her in the past and how she treated everyone. It's just that she is young and ignorant. After junior brother she died, have you ever seen her blame herself at all? She still calls the traitor second senior sister." Ling Yushu sighed helplessly. He actually understood why Liang Ruoho was angry with Shialuli. If the master had not gone out to look for her that day, Lei Gain might not have the courage to sneak into his study, and he would not have been caught by Master Shi Wen and killed. Now everyone in Yu-King Temple knows that the traitor is Lei Gain, the second disciple of Tiangong Fang, which has caused Tiangong Fang to bear the resentment of many fellow disciples. Even Master Shi Dingzhenren had to apologize to the elders in person at the meeting in the temple, claiming that he did not know people well. However, before Lei Gain joined the temple, she had a clean life and had never practiced any martial arts. There was no flaw in her words and deeds. Who could tell that she was a spy from the Hell Road? How many secret agents had the Hell Road lurked in the major sects in the past, and how many of them were discovered before they were exposed? In the final analysis, it was just because everyone was holding back their resentment and needed to find a culprit to vent. Ling Yushu went out with a gloomy look on his face, and saw Shialuli practicing swordsmanship with Luo Yan. To be exact, he was being beaten unilaterally by Luo Yan. He could not help but stop and watch. After a while, he was amazed. How should I put it? Luo Yan's swordsmanship is too clever. Although it is the most basic East China Sea jade coral sword of Yu-King Temple, when it is used by Luo Yan, it is like a wild horse running freely and an antelope hanging on a horn. On the one hand, it is still agile and elegant, and on the other hand, it combines the strange with the normal. Even if it is compared with the Shushan King Temple that specializes in swordsmanship, it will not be much inferior. Looking at the little apprentice sister, although the fairy sword is of a higher grade and the swordsmanship is more ethereal, it seems that she has not practiced it properly. Luo Yan only changed his moves slightly, and she was extremely nervous and anxious to respond. As a result, the rhythm was completely controlled by Luo Yan, who easily tore a clear gap in her swordsmanship defense line and then defeated her cleanly. "Sister, you are too nervous." Luo Yan stopped flying his sword and sighed, "Didn't we talk about this? I fight mine, you fight yours. My sword just attacked from the left, how come your sword quickly followed? I was scared." Miss Shi stamped her feet anxiously. "Don't be afraid." Luo Yan waved his hand helplessly. When facing an attack, sometimes you do have to defend, and sometimes you have to attack instead of defend. Come, I will use these sword techniques again, you watch carefully. Ling Yushu looked at the two people practicing sword skills with each other, and felt that the dark cloud in his heart had dissipated a lot. Suddenly, Elder Shiding hurriedly walked in from outside. "Luo Yan," he said with a gloomy face, "you two, hurry up and come out with me. Well, remember to bring all your luggage with you, don't forget the elixirs and magic weapons." Luo Yan and Shialuli were still confused. Ling Yushu had already rushed to greet them, frowning and said, "Master, could it be?" "Yes." Elder Shiding said seriously, "The temple is short of manpower, after all, they are both waffle-level cultivators, and now they have to go to the front line." He explained to the two of them briefly that since 100,000 gods and demons attacked Penglai, 20 of the 36 caves in the East China Sea rebelled at once. Now Penglai Yu-King Temple is sending a large number of cultivators to launch a massive siege on the 20 rebels to ensure its prestige and rule in the East China Sea. Otherwise, if the rebellion cannot be suppressed cleanly and neatly, the remaining 16 East China Sea sects that are waiting and watching will probably also rise up and set up their own sects. The problem is that the Penglai Yu-King Temple itself was seriously injured, and a large number of high-level and mid-level cultivators were lost in the last siege. Therefore, even in the battlefield of the Jindan realm, only some of the cultivators in the Foundation building realm and the mansion level can be drawn to assist the immortals on the battlefield. Under normal circumstances, Tiangong Fang, as the leader of the refining school of Yu King Temple, plus the face and connections of the immortal Shi Din, this conscription and court would not be the turn of Shi Lili and Luo Yan. Unfortunately, in the last disaster, there was a traitor in Tiangong Fang, which made it impossible for Elder Shi Ding to shirk responsibility this time and could only nod his head in agreement. The battlefield team you will joining this time will attack the Yue Island in the East China Sea. Elder Shi Ding lowered his voice and said, the Yue Island lineage was famous for the acquired 5 elements extinction divine light in the ancient times of the sect, and was once a powerful sect in the East China Sea. But the cultivation of the 5 elements divine light secret art requires the acquired 5 elements true veins, which are extremely rare and precious, so it has been lost in the East China Sea for many years. Today, the Yue Island lineage is proficient in the 5 elements magic. The realm of the cultivators there is average, but their offensive means are extremely powerful. The one in charge of leading the team is the Taoist Shuolin next door, and I have asked him for help. This time when you go to the Yue Island battlefield, you two must listen to his arrangements and don't act recklessly. Do you understand? I understand. Seeing Elder Shi Ding's serious expression, the two of them hurriedly agreed. But Shi Lili couldn't hide his excitement, and he wanted to go to the battlefield immediately and put into practice what he had learned from the secret realm. Luo Yan knew the danger of the battlefield without eyes, and also understood that the reason why Elder Shi Ding was so serious was mostly to tell him, after all, Miss Shi was too willful and might not listen no matter how much he said, and asked him to protect her. Therefore, he added very tactfully, my sister and I will definitely follow the instructions of Master Shuolin this time, and will never act rashly. Very good. Elder Shi Ding showed a look of relief, but his eyes still couldn't hide his worry. Master. Ling Yushu also said, why don't I? You and Ruohu have other arrangements. Elder Shi Ding waved his hand helplessly. Didn't he want Ling Yushu to go with him and protect Luo Yan and Shi Lili's safety throughout the journey? You know, one of these two people is his successor, and the other is his biological daughter. No matter which one of them unfortunately dies, it will make Elder Shi Ding miserable. However, the chaos in the world has begun to emerge, and Ling Yushu can't protect them forever, right? You know, after Ling Yushu forms his nascent soul, he will leave Tiangong Fan to establish his own lineage. The second disciple Lei Gain has already betrayed, and after the eldest disciple Ling Yushu left, the third disciple Li Emperor, who has the highest cultivation in the temple, is only at the lowest level of the Golden Core Realm. This means that the fighting power has been cut off. Luo Yan, Luli, your future depends on you. P.Y. Fan's book. What to do if the heroine likes you as a villain tags. Daily, relaxed, love, multiple heroines. Introduction. Girl, I Just Want to Practice is a novel with multiple heroines, but the author guarantees that this book has a single heroine, and book friends have expressed that those who understand will understand. It was not until I traveled through the book and became a handsome villain that I realized that the protagonist's sister was a hidden boss. The world's best martial artist with a strong possessive yander. Now I'm caught by her. How to make the heroine like the villain? Waiting on the line, very urgent. Chapter 324 Heavenly Treasure Bag. Before leaving, Elder Shi Ding confirmed the situation of the two again. His beloved daughter Shi Lili, who was practicing the key refining technique, the secret record of the 5 latitudes of the heaven, a high-end key refining technique that draws the power of the stars, and has various derived Taoist magic powers. The flying sword is the purple extreme Hunyuan sword, which is said to be made of meteorite iron from the stars, and is of medium level among the 10th level immortal swords. The magic weapon, the God Strike Whip, was lost last time, but Miss Shi got the Tuigu Chenya Postar Sand from the secret realm of Quansan Mountain. This magic weapon is activated by the power of the stars, and the stars and sands in the sky become a river, which is a great secret treasure for both offenser and defenser. As for other protective magic weapons such as the divine fire cover and the talismans, there is no need to mention them here. The direct disciple Luo Yan, who was practicing the key refining technique, the 3 flowers gathering spirit technique, the basic breathing technique of the Tiangong Fan lineage, is very ordinary and has no derived Taoist magic. The flying sword was the 9th order earth-type flying sword Lian Qing forged by Mushu, which naturally could not be compared with the 10th order flying sword. The magic weapon Fanchen Seal was a typical representative of the powerful flying brick, and it was also one of the few offensive means that Luo Yan could show off. Elder Shi Ding was a little embarrassed, because he usually only let Luo Yan learn the formation, and this thing needed to be arranged in advance, and it was difficult to watch emergency response in battle. Even the previous Huxian sword formation was to first break the Yu King Temple's protected formation, and then rush to arrange it, so as to deal with the Kunlun Tai King sect that followed. Even so, the formation was still too hasty, so that Qiu Chang Time found a loophole and broke it deeply. After thinking about it, Elder Shiding sighed, took off the bag he was carrying, handed it to Luo Yan, and said solemnly, "Luo Yan, this is the Tiangong 100 treasure bag. From today on, it will be handed over to you." Luo Yan was shocked and asked in disbelief, "Master, this is not." Looking at Shilili and Ling Shu next to him, they also had incredible expressions on their faces. The reason is that this Tiangong 100 treasure bag is the magic weapon that Elder Shiding relies on to become famous. It is filled with various high-level magic tools produced by Tiangong Workshop in the past 10,000 years. It is as dazzling as Doraemon's dimensional bell band. There is even a saying circulating in Yu King Temple, called "Whoever gets the 100 treasure bag gets the Tiangong Workshop," and Elder Shiding has never denied it. Even the brothers and sisters in the workshop privately think that the 100 treasure bag is such a valuable magic weapon that the master must definitely hand it over to the future heir of Tiangong Workshop, and it is impossible to let it flow out. Now, Elder Shiding handed the treasure bag to Luo Yan, which was really beyond everyone's expectation. Although they had probably guessed it on weekdays, they didn't expect it to happen so soon. "You know, junior brother Luo Yan hasn't even formed a golden elixir yet. Master, I can't accept this." Luo Yan didn't dare to take the treasure bag, and hurriedly declined, saying, "My disciple's cultivation is still shallow, and this Tiangong Fang still needs to be managed by Master." "Who said the Tiangong Fang will be given to you?" Elder Shiding said in surprise, "Master just gave you this treasure bag for self-defense. After all, you have too few means of self-defense now. Master is worried that you can't protect Lily outside." Ahem. Luo Yan also realized that he had said too much, and hurriedly corrected, "This treasure bag is too valuable, and disciple dare not accept it." "Then consider it as Master lending it to you." Elder Shiding waved his hand, quite like the style of Mishi who borrowed the Fanchen seal in anger. Luo Yan was also at a loss whether to laugh or cry. Knowing that the master had made up his mind to give him the treasure bag, he accepted it seriously and said, "Master, rest assured, I will protect my senior sister." Hey. Shilili finally came back to her senses from the shock and protested excitedly, "What do you mean Luo Yan protects me? It's obviously me who protects him, okay?" "Oh, right. Luo Yan quickly corrected, "Because my junior brother's strength is too weak, the master gave him the treasure bag to protect him. Please don't misunderstand, senior sister." "What did I misunderstand?" Shilili said angrily, Don't think that you can beat me in more than a dozen sword riding games, and your strength is above me, senior sister." "How is that possible?" Luo Yan immediately defended, "I have always admired senior sister." Seeing that Luo Yan blocked Mishi's unreasonable troubles with just a few words, Elder Shiding and Ling Yushu couldn't help laughing. Apart from other things, the only future heir of Tiangong Workshop who can take good care of Shilili is probably Luo Yan. So Elder Shiding sent the two to the meeting place, and on the way explained to Luo Yan how to use the Tiangong treasure bag. The Tiangong treasure bag is actually divided into two parts. One is Tiangong, which is the spirit of the treasure bag, which can quickly retrieve the corresponding magic weapon according to the needs of the user. The second is treasure, which is the various magic tools that Elder Shiding has been constantly filling in it for nearly 10,000 years, the number is at least 100,000. For example, if Luo Yan and Shilili are being chased, Luo Yan will separate a ray of divine thought and send the specific situation of the outside world into the treasure bag. Then the spirit of the Tiangong tool will spit out a corresponding magic tool according to the specific situation. This treasure may be a magic weapon for running away, sending everyone thousands of miles away in an instant. It may also be an attack magic weapon that specifically restrains the opponent's pursuers. In short, according to Elder Shiding, the core of the Tiangong treasure bag is not the treasures, but the Tiangong weapon spirit itself. Most cultivators in this world will only specialize in one or two Taoist methods or swordsmanship. The reason is that if they learn too many things, they will not know how to use them when encountering emergencies. Any tactics must have a core. The Tiangong weapon spirit of the Tiangong treasure bag is a very special tactical core that can help users deal with various emergencies. In this way, the user does not need to spend a lot of time practicing Taoism, swordsmanship and other practical means of life-saving, so that he can concentrate on studying the way of array formations. Taoism and swordsmanship are just minor ways. Elder Sheeding finally concluded, no matter how powerful your Taoism is, no matter how sharp your swordsmanship is, no matter how many times you win 1,000 or 10,000 games, and how invincible you are, what's the use? As long as you lose a game, you'll die and your Tao will be destroyed. The highest good is like water, which fights for what it does not contend. The way to be invincible is to win without fighting. You must remember this. Disciple, remember this. Luo Yan said seriously. So this Tiangong by Baho bag is actually a special magic weapon specially designed by Elder Sheeding to deal with the lack of experience in fighting. As for the warning of his cheap master, he certainly listened to it with an open mind and never repented. If Luo Yan was really just Luo Yan, of course he could concentrate on studying the way of array formations, and then become a master of array formations, be protected by Pengliu King Temple, and live a carefree life from then on. However, he wanted to steal the heaven repairing stone. This meant that he was destined to become the public enemy of all the major sects. If he had no experience in fighting, would he just wait for death after repairing the sky? What a joke. Luo Yan followed the instructions of Elder Sheeding and used his spiritual sense to probe into the heavenly craft treasure bag. If I'm in danger, you can take out the magic weapon that can deal with the danger, right? He asked for confirmation. The heavenly craft treasure bag did not answer, but just popped out an object, which was quickly grabbed by Luo Yan. It turned out to be a pill bottle. After opening the stopper of the pill bottle, Luo Yan smelled the smell and knew that it contained the tranquility pill. This pill is an ordinary medicine, mainly used to treat anxiety, restlessness. Chapter 325. War in the South. Soon, Luo Yan and Shilili were sent to Shualin by Elder Sheeding. This Jin Dansenrum was a taciturn cultivator. This was not surprising, because many cultivators in Pengliu King Temple were of this type who were taciturn and obsessed with academics. Accompanying him were 2 other Jin Dansenrum and 5 full-level cultivators. Luo Yan identified them briefly and found that they were all fellow disciples who had met before but were not very familiar with each other. Since we are all here, let's go. Shualin Senrun nodded to Elder Sheeding, meaning I will take care of them, and then called everyone to go. Everyone flew up on their swords. Luo Yan and Shilili suddenly looked back and saw Elder Sheeding standing on the top of Pengliu Mountain, anxiously watching the 2 leave. Luo Yan couldn't help but sigh. Elder Sheeding was a Yuning cultivator and a master of refining, but he was actually worried about the safety of his own daughter and his disciples. It can be seen that unless a person who practices Taoism was sent to heaven, he will still be bound by worldly affairs and it will be difficult for him to be free and at ease. Shilili was a little sad, but soon she was replaced by the thought of becoming stronger. If I can become as powerful as Qiu Chang Tian, the chief of Cunning, my father will not be dragged down by me anymore. The team flew to the south on swords, and the whole way was full of sparkling seas. Occasionally, aquatic monsters jumped out of the sea and attacked everyone, but they were quickly eliminated by everyone using various means. Luo Yan secretly noticed that the Taoist master Shualin used a magic whisk. When he waved it, countless silver whiskers flew out, which could split mountains and seas, penetrate gold and split rocks, and was extremely powerful. As for the other few people, their magic weapons and flying swords were not very colorful, but they only exerted their power by relying on their grades, so it's better not to mention them. Everyone says that the cultivators of Pengliu King Temple are not good at fighting. I think this is not only not good at fighting, but it can be said to be weak. In terms of cultivation realm, they are not as good as Kunlin. In terms of fighting experience, they are not as good as Shushan. In the final analysis, production-oriented professions should not do combat-oriented work. It is a waste of time. He kept shaking his head. Shilili saw this and grumbled in her heart. In the past, she could not tell the strength of the crowd. She only saw flying swords spinning, magic weapons turning rapidly, shining and colorful, and gorgeous. As long as it looks good, it is powerful. After practicing in seclusion in the secret realm of Kuakong Mountain for so long, and being bullied by Luo Yan for a while, Miss Shi has now opened her eyes. Looking at the battles of these monks of the same level, they have no accuracy, no strength, and even the timing is not very good. Trash. As for Master Shualin, only the magic whisk can fight. When it is activated, a large number of silver whiskers will shoot out, as fast as a rainstorm and as fast as purple lightning, but the opponent used it as a magic weapon like the heaven-flipping seal, and hit him head-on when they met. There is no technical content at all. However, this Shualin Senrun seems to be a cultivator of the alchemy lineage, so it is normal that he has little experience in fighting. Thinking of this, Shilili suddenly felt that something was wrong. In this team, except for me and my junior brother, the combat strength of the rest of the people does not seem to be very high. No, I have to tell a fortune first. She flew the sword quietly around Luo Yan, turned her right hand in her sleeve, and took out 6 copper coins, which she covered in the palm of her left hand, and then showed it to him. Shiluli. Her face suddenly turned pale. What's wrong? Luo Yan noticed her little action and turned around to ask. Junior brother. Shiluli whispered, let's run away. Luo Yan. I just told a fortune. Shiluli continued, this team will be in danger next. What fortune? Luo Yan asked blankly. It's the copper coin hexagram method that the hidden Chuantanzu Warmingen taught me last time in the secret realm of Kuakong Mountain. Shiluli said hurriedly. Luo Yan was stunned for a long time. After all, several characters switched between each other, and the things in the secret realm of Kuakong Mountain were somewhat forgotten, and then he barely remembered that Mishi seemed to have obtained a magic weapon, a fairy sword, and a secret method of divination in the secret realm. What do you mean? He asked in a low voice. Going south will cause war and blood, which is unlucky. Shiluli replied. Luo Yan was immediately puzzled. He was not completely ignorant of divination. After all, he had the talent of understanding everything after hearing it, and he had more or less dabbled in various miscellaneous studies of Yu King Temple. In most cases, the results of divination are quite ambiguous. The divination result of Shiluli's don't go south, seeing blood is very bad is equivalent to spreading the answer directly in your face. It is really rare. If it is true, it's fine, but I'm afraid that you, Mishi, have made a mistake, okay? How about another calculation? Luo Yan suggested cautiously, with just this result, even Master Shualin can't be convinced. One divination can't be calculated twice, do you understand? Shiluli taught him, if Master Shualin doesn't listen, we will just run away. But senior sister. Luo Yan persuaded patiently, although I don't understand divination, if we just run away, it will make Master more passive in the temple. Shiluli was speechless. Indeed, divination is one thing, and politics is another. The result of the divination shows that this is very bad, which cannot be a legitimate reason to run away. Unless Master Shualin can be convinced, otherwise the other party will send a letter back to Yu King Temple, and Elder Shiding will really be unclear. I'll go and talk to Master Shualin. Shiluli was unwilling to give up. Okay, senior sister, I support you. Luo Yan said hypocritically. So Shiluli went to find the leader Master Shualin and told him about the divination. Tiangon Fan is also good at divination? Asked Shualin, frowning. No. Shiluli explained quickly, I learned my divination from a secret realm. Luo Yan listened at the side and shook his head in his heart. This Mishi is still too immature. You can just say that it was obtained by chance, why tell others that it was obtained from a secret realm? What if someone covets your secret realm information and has bad intentions towards you? Fortunately, Master Shualin did not show any covetous intentions, but just shook his head and said, it is common to see danger according to the result of the astrology. Although your island lacks high-level cultivators, it is not completely powerless to fight back. Besides, the purpose of this trip is extremely important. I can't rashly change the strategic plan formulated in the temple because of a result of the astrology. Shiluli wanted to persuade him again. But, you and my nephew Luo Yan, stay behind the team later. Master Shualin made the decision without saying anything, you don't need to go to the battlefield for the time being. Shiluli finally had no choice but to turn to Luo Yan for help. Luo Yan responded with a helpless look. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.